21st regular meeting of the Medford City Council will come to order. Maestro, if you please.
Council Camuso. Present. Council Caviello. Present. Council Knight. Present. Vice President Leno Kern. Present. Council Marks. Present. Council Penta. Present. President Della Russo.
Present. 7 members present, none absent. Please rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have presentations tonight for the Medford Middle School String Ensemble. Before we do that, Maestro, if you please. Thank you, Maestro Chang, and thank you to all of the performers with us here tonight. At this time, I'm going to ask Councilor Marks to come forward to make presentations of certificates of achievement to the members of the Medford Middle School's String Ensemble under the direction of Sophia Chang.
I'll call them up. Yeah, we'll call them up on it. Thank you very much, and thank you to the Medford Middle School String Ensemble. What a calming effect. If anyone watches a Tuesday night meeting, it sometimes gets contentious behind the reel. And I'll tell you, I think tonight, we're going to go smooth tonight. There won't be any harsh words, any harsh debate. I think you set us off in a tone that I'd like to see every Tuesday night. And I appreciate you coming. And we are here to honor and recognize Medford is now on the map. Medford was never known, in all the years I've been in the city of Medford, for our string ensemble. But now guess what? We're a leader in Massachusetts. Our students have put Medford on the map, and we are all very proud. The festival is designed to promote excellence in musical performance. And at the Massachusetts Instrumental and Chorus Conductors and Association's Band and Orchestra Concert Festival, we won a gold medal. The festival was held in 6 sites across Massachusetts with approximately 160 instrumental ensembles participating. Medford won the gold medal. Well done. Not only did we win the gold medal, this is the 5th year Medford String Ensemble brought back medals of excellence, earning 4 gold medals and 1 silver medal. What an accomplishment from our kids. Now, in addition to what you did here tonight, these are all students. They have all the coursework that any other student would have. They have hours of preparation. How many hours do we spend a week on our schoolwork? How many hours? A lot? How many hours do we spend on our strings? Did I hear 20 hours a week? No? A lot of hours are being spent. And it's through the hard work and dedication that we hear the sounds that we heard tonight. That doesn't just happen. That is through dedication and hard work. That is through having an instructor that I believe has done yeoman's work to creating this program, keeping the enthusiasm, and Sophia Chang, who is in the back, really deserves it. So if I could, I'd like to read the citation. The Medford City Council takes pleasure in awarding this council commendation to the Medford Middle School String Ensemble, in recognition of winning a gold medal at the Massachusetts Instrumental and Chorus Conductors Association Band and Orchestra Concert Festival. The MICCA Concert Festival is designed to promote excellence in musical performance. The festival was held in 6 sites across Massachusetts on March 27th through the 29th. Throughout the weekend, approximately 160 instrumental ensembles participated. By participating in the festival, students and teachers strive to meet the MICCA gold medal standards. This is the 5th year the Medford String Ensemble has brought back medals of excellence. So at this time, I'd like to call up Sophia Chang.
Yes. Thank you. It is my distinctive honor to serve the Medford community. I enjoy my students very much. They are incredible, and the award is the result of their enthusiasm and hard work. I also like to thank all the parents for your commitment, for your support over those years. Thank you to the administrators, Mr. Chada, and the principals. They're all very supporting. It is wonderful to work in this community. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Arden Ingersoll. All the way at the end. Samuel Kluggish. Augustine Tringali. Albert Fahar. Fadara Martin. Kill the name? No. Diego Hernandez. Justin Trung. Justin, yeah, give Justin. Fedora Martin? Is it Fedora? Fedra, I'm sorry. Fedra. Jacob George. Corinne Adams. Henry Nigel. Samantha Kazuka. Dorothy Belote. Alexander Nye. Evan Lau. This is Kylie Trung. Isabella Bizarra. Justin Wu. Carla Flores Lemus. Leah Ben Daniel. Nadia Farmer. And Danielle Lee. And I also think we have to note there was perfect attendance here tonight. Which very seldom happens. And I hope we're going to get another song or two. Yeah, Sophia's got hers. Thank you very much.
What do you think? Council will go into recess for the dispersal of the band. Medford City Council will come back to order. Before we begin our regular agenda, we have an unannounced item here, presentation for advocates of the Medford Public Library. For the record, the library budget was discussed tonight, and it received an additional infusion of $251,325 under the auspices of Michael J. McGlynn, Mayor. A representative of the group wishes to speak. Please present yourself to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Samantha Sednick. I am at 181 Kennedy Drive. I'm here both as your children's librarian and also a member of the Medford Community Coalition. And I wanted to start off just by thanking you, really sincerely thanking you for the work that was done today. That additional money that was granted into our budget was super necessary. I know we talk about accreditation, but the library really is, the heart and soul of the library is our community. And I think the community really did speak, and I know that you guys have been hearing from them all week about what they really want in a library. And now that we have a little bit of additional funds, now that we have some additional staff, we can work on getting that vision and really make Medford Library what people want to see. Now, I know in the budget discussion earlier today, there was discussions about how circulations are down and foot traffic at the library is down, and I just want to attest that that is simply not true. I have been here since October of 2013, and since my time here, the circulation in the children's library has only gone up. I can probably say the same for that of the young adult librarian. Since she arrived in March of 2014, you can see the books flying off the wall. You can see the stacks of books coming back into us, and you can see the kids coming in. Today, this very day, I had a conversation with a teacher from the middle school who was so excited because the kids are talking about what they're going to do after school, and what they're excited about is coming to our library. And yes, the building needs some love and attention, and it has problems, as our falling tiles and leaking buckets do show. But we really do want to have the best library that we can have, and the only way to do that is to have people in it, people that care about the library and people that care about Medford. And so amending the budget as you did today, I really sincerely thank you.
Thank you very much. Come on up. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Vicki Halal from 11 Mason Street here in Medford, and I'm here also on behalf of Sharon Guzik, who's at 10 Manning Street in Medford, and she's president of Friends of the Library, Friends of Medford Public Library, which is an all-volunteer 501c3, as you probably know. It's separate from the library, and the major mission is raising funds which do not pay for any overhead or paying for any staff positions. And the Friends of the Library feel strongly that that's the city's responsibility. But these funds raised by Friends of Medford Public Library go towards supplemental programs such as lectures, sing-alongs, workshops, and museum passes, which many kids enjoy and many families. So if you'll permit me, I'm going to read her statement, beginning now. So the first version of my letter, I ask for your support to secure more funding for the library in the city's new budget. We were at a critical stage facing possible loss of accreditation, which would preclude Medford Library patrons from using other libraries and receiving state aid to libraries. Thankfully, the city has agreed to add the $251,325 needed to retain accreditation. I want to thank our Medford City Councilors for your support to fully fund the library. I also want to thank Mayor McGlynn for listening to the citizens of Medford and adding the additional funds that we needed to retain accreditation. However, though we could be satisfied with minimally meeting the accreditation standards, we know Medford Public Library could be so much more than it already is. We need to be thinking long-term and increase library funding accordingly. I strongly believe that Medford deserves an outstanding public library that will serve all of our citizens. Modern public libraries are much more than places that lend books and movies. As summarized by Dara Lipton in an online article on the role of libraries today, quote, "Modern libraries are community centers. They should reflect the needs, personality, and nuance of the community they service, and serve as a glue to bring disparate members of the community together. The modern library creates space where patrons engage with information, process it, reflect on it, have conversations about it, and develop new ideas, conversations, and opportunities as a result of it," unquote. I would like to see the city embrace a long-term vision for our public library with a scheduled plan for fulfilling it. This plan, this vision, should encompass the renovation and regular maintenance of the library, as well as a scheduled plan updating its technology. Ideally, such a plan will look even further into the future and consider how to lay the foundation for the rapidly evolving role that libraries play in our communities. I believe another step toward fulfilling this vision is to revitalize the Board of Library Trustees. There are currently 5 dedicated individuals that have served as trustees for close to 2 decades. I congratulate them for their long years of service and dedication to our library. However, turnover on the board is important to keep an organization energized and relevant. New blood brings new ideas and new enthusiasm to the table. I feel it is vital to appoint new people to the board as trustee positions come up for renewal. I end with the words of Andrew Carnegie, that great supporter of public libraries. Quote, "A library outranks any other one thing a community can do to benefit its people. It is a never-failing spring in the desert," unquote. So thank you for taking us, and on behalf of all the friends, thank you again.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Ann Frenning-Kasuth. I'm the president of the Medford Educational Foundation, and I live at 88 Winthrop Street in Medford, Massachusetts. And I'd like to say that I'm very excited to see the turnout today. What's happened has been very exciting. As you may know, there's a new group in town called the Medford Community Coalition, and they're very vocal, they're parents, and they care. And there's a long-standing group that's called the Friends of the Medford Public Library, and they care also, and for much, much longer. So these two groups have united in support of the Medford Public Library, and it's very thrilling because, as Andrew Carnegie once said, it is it's not just a spring, it's like an oasis. It's a place to go that anyone in the community from cradle to grave can learn and benefit from the information provided there. And I think that I'd like to give a special shout out to Children's Reference Librarian Sam Sudnick for the incredible work that she's done to revitalize the library. And we used to go, most of us parents used to go to Winchester because we were part of the Minuteman Library Network, and it was very pleasant there, but they don't have half of the programming that we have. And this is the very first program she did was this fairy tale ball. It was 1 hour long, and all the children dressed as little fairies, and the parents went, and Barbara Kerr was a fortune teller, and Brian Boutillier had a mask, and there were fencers, and there were people dressed in period costumes. 1 hour outside the box transformed the library into a space that beyond our imagination, and this is what I think we can see with the Medford Public Library. If we were able to get funds so quickly, it makes me think that we can keep going, and I think that the thrust of the message that President of the Friends of the Medford Public Library, Sharon Guzik, had We do need a plan. We need citizens, and we need to work with the city, and we need to make this library something that the entire community can benefit from. And I just want to close with the fact that starting at 5:30 this evening for this committee of the whole, I took names just by passing a clip sheet, and I'm not going to read them all off, but I can provide them to the clerk if they're interested. There are 40 people provided voluntarily their names and their email addresses in support of the Medford Community Coalition and the Friends of the Medford Public Library. And that's, I think, a true testament. So thank you for all you've done to support us, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ma'am, come on up. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Laura Brereton at 270 Winthrop Street. Thank you. This is Melanie Raylan and Sam Sednick. As you already know, the three of us are co-founders of the Medford Community Coalition that Ann just mentioned. I know we've met many of you in person and all of you via email. We wanted to echo the sentiments that have already been made by the Friends and of course, at the Committee of the Whole meeting. And in particular, we appreciate being acknowledged as a grassroots organization. We just started in January, and we feel like we're really here to try to make some positive changes in Medford, and it's really nice to know that the City Council is in support of that. So thank you very much. The library matters. It is a wonderful place with a wonderful staff and can get better with the appropriate funding and with even more staff. And we look forward to working with you all in continued work to make Medford a better place. Thank you.
Thank you for your kindness. Hi, please state your name and address for the record. Welcome.
Hi, Debbie Steiner-Hayes, 29 Damon Road. A lot of what I wanted to say has already been said, but I wanted to come and say hi to y'all anyway. You guys, I don't know how you managed it, but in one day or a couple of days, $250,000 was raised for the library. Can you imagine what we could do next year at this time? So the library, you know, if you read the Boston Magazine, as not only do we have the best donut shop in Medford, we also have 40 new, well, according to Marie Cassidy, we have 40 new families moving into Medford, having babies every single month. 40 babies born in Medford every single month. We're top place for new families to move into is Medford. Our housing prices are going through the roof. We are fabulous. We have a great sound string ensemble, and our library is just has been not that exciting. And as she said, I have a 5-year-old daughter. From the time she was 1 to 3, we didn't step foot in our Medford library. We went every other library in the neighborhood. I could tell you about Watertown, Winchester, Arlington, Lexington, and all the programming that went on there. And I did not go into our library for a multitude of reasons, which I won't go in here because they're all kind of negative. But Samantha, Sam, is amazing. She revitalized the children's program, one human being. If you go into the library, I please ask of you to all go in the library, go down those back steps, look on the wall. It is covered, ceiling to floor, of activities going on almost every single day in the library. 99%, well, they're all mixed. There's teens, there's children, there's preschoolers, there's babies, there's seniors, there's everything. It's not just a book group. And you know, the library is the one thing that everybody in a city can all take part in. Maybe everybody doesn't go to Wrights Con, maybe everybody doesn't go to schools, maybe everybody isn't part of government, but everybody at some point goes to the library. It's not online. There's the joy of holding a book is still there. The joy of doing activities. Please, please put money back into our library.
I'm Barbara Kerr. I'm the Assistant Director of the Medford Library, and I live at 35 Baker Place in Newton. I wanted to say thank you. That is what I am here to say. It has been a difficult decade, and I'm going to cry at the City Council meeting, but it's been a hard decade. We've struggled like every other city department, and there have been times where I did not think that we had the support of anybody. And what happened today, and all of the things that have happened in the last month, have really restored my faith in this community, and it's nice to know that everyone appreciates us. So thank you to the council, thank you to the mayor, thank you to Alex, who wrote that very good article a few weeks ago, and thank you to my staff, who have struggled through some tough times. I've worked there 30 years. This is the best staff we have ever had. They are enthusiastic. They're somewhat crazy. Sam wants to get chickens. We'll talk about that. And she what? Well, she only did that once. She didn't do that again. There's a lot of glitter, too. But they're good. They're enthusiastic. They're smart. With what we got today, we can move forward a lot in the next year. And it's a beginning. We will do better. But thank you all very much, and thank you to everybody who's watching, because many people sent letters and emails and talked to us, and I feel much better about our future, so thank you all very much. Thank you.
My name is Michael Ruggiero. I live on 18 Pembroke Street. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time for me to ask a question to our new budget director, but I was hoping to find out whether we anticipate maintaining this funding over more than just 1 year. Right now, there's a groundswell of energy and focus on this issue. Let's make sure that as the City Council and as we as a public maintain a focus on this budgetary line item to make sure that it doesn't drop out after 2016. Thank you.
In my conversations with Ms. Miller this afternoon, it was made clear to me that this was something that would be workable over time, and it was not a one-year fix.
Thank you.
Good evening. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Joe Villione, 59 Garfield Avenue, Medford, Massachusetts. Councilor Caraviello had mentioned the library is a good spot for the public access station. Since we have so much money in reserve, I suggest a bit of a trade maybe. If we could modernize the inner structure with PEG monies, lend the monies to the library, have a van that is parked at the library with equipment that can help election 2015, because it's 164 days away, you have a win-win situation. You get additional monies to help refurbish the inside of the library, which really needs some help. It's a wonderful old building. I love the Medford Public Library, but it needs more money. $251,000 is not enough. We'll have close to $1 million in the PEG fund once that contract is signed with Comcast. An additional $330 grand, I believe, and another $32 grand from Verizon. We'll have almost $1 million in reserve and no access station. So we work with the library. We have a van outside of the library. We have mobile equipment. We can transmit through the telephone, through the cell phones. We can transmit from the mobile van right onto Channel 3 and the Verizon channel. So that's my suggestion. We have some money. Let's really, really help out the library.
Councilor Caraviello.
Thank you, Mr. President. No, last year I had the first time working with Sam Sednick, doing my book program to the public school, the parochial school kids with our summer reading drive. And the real thank you came from the children of Medford who wrote. I probably delivered to Sam at the library over 100 letters from the kids from the schools thanking her for all the work that she did when she came with us, going around to all the schools in Medford. And next week, Sam is going to be coming around again with the Medford Kiwanis, and we're going to be delivering books to the schools of all the children in the school. And it gives Sam a chance to promote her summer reading program that's gotten bigger every year. So again, I think she's one of the best additions to the library we've had in many years. And I'm looking forward to being with her next week as we travel to all the public schools and the parochial schools in Medford. And it gives her a chance to get to every single kid that's in the first and third grade, so they know about summer reading and what it takes to read. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Camuso.
Thank you, and I just want to thank everyone in the community that's been involved over the past, this isn't just the last week, this has been over about a month or so, that the emails, the groundswell behind the scenes, and I was ecstatic today when I spoke with the mayor and his staff around noontime when he committed the additional funds based upon a couple new developments that are coming online with new growth. And it's just a financial commitment to keep the library just not only in a better financial situation than it is today, but as the gentleman said a little earlier, it's going forward, and I asked a similar question. And you don't want to be in the same boat as we are now next year, when the new mayor has to look for additional funding, and so I'm glad we were able to get to this point. But I really want to thank the people that were patient, because government doesn't work so quickly. We had to wait until the additional new growth not went online, but there was the actual commitment for the funds. You know, week after week, it's easy for people to say, we want this, we want that, we want this, but ultimately you have to pay for these city services. And this council has been committed to doing that. And like I said, this wouldn't be possible without Mayor McGlynn and his top administrative staff, because we can only approve the budget or cut the budget. We cannot add to the budget. So I just want to thank him for his commitment to the children and the residents of our community here in this particular matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Madam Vice President.
Thank you, President Del Russo. I too want to thank the Mayor's office for coming up with the funds that are needed, and then the 2 new positions that are going to be hired. It sounds like they definitely are going to be put to good use. I also just want to thank, it wouldn't have been possible without the community, without these 2 organizations and the library staff coming together and creating a momentum that almost I couldn't keep up with. Between the emails and the phone calls, I think I was still calling people back today. But it really goes to show, and especially with the two professional staff members here today, how much people care about the library and care about its future. So I want to thank the mayor for and the administration for what they've done and coming out today, rather than the city council fighting the next couple weeks to get it done. So it's very refreshing to have that come across my desk, at 5 o'clock this afternoon. But with all the positivity, and I want to stay positive, we do have to recognize that there is a need for a maintenance plan. There is a need for, it was said by, all the councilors tonight, and I'm sure it'll be reiterated, that there is a need for a maintenance plan. And we say it all the time, whether it's this building, the schools, the library, the DPW yard that was just redone. This city needs to spend more time on maintenance, number one. Number two, I think we do need a 5-year plan. We need to, whoever the next mayor is, we need to, figure out what we're going to do within the next 5 years, what grants we can apply for, and how we can move the library forward. And it was very good to hear that there is some sort of plan in the works, and I hope the community is involved in that and gets to give input and insight and voice their concerns and what they'd like to see within the next 5, 6, 7 years for the Medford Public Library. So just thank everybody for moving this forward, and I think it's a great step forward for the library. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Councilor Knight.
Mr. President, thank you, and thank you to the Medford Community Coalition for their hard work on this very, very important issue. Mr. President, I'm very comfortable supporting this increase in the budget for the library, and the reason I'm supportive of it is because we're not just throwing money at a problem. There's an operational plan for the use of funds that's in place, and based upon the correspondence from the administration that we received today, we're going to have $70,000 for part-time helpers. We're going to have $30,000 for increased cleaning services, $75,000 for a new employee that would work in the technology field, $60,000 for a new employee that would work as a reference librarian, and $15,000 for new equipment, Mr. President. Because we have a plan and we have an actual dedicated use for these monies, I'm very comfortable supporting this. I think that the grassroots effort of the Medford Community Coalition was a driving factor behind the issuance of these funds and the increase in our budget, and for that I'm very supportive because I value our library.
Thank you, Councilor Knight. Councilor Penta.
Mr. President, and folks who might be watching who don't have the opportunity to be here tonight and understand how we got to the position that we're in. As a point of clarification, in the budget meeting that we had tonight regarding the Medford Public Library, the question was asked of Mr. Boudelier, who is the librarian, why didn't this information come forward on these type of requests come forward before? And he did indicate that the prior budget director through the administration told him not to present that, to come forward. So the scuttlebutt as it relates to why I got to this point right here is a result of the frustration of the folks, you folks that are here tonight, and those folks that might be watching that couldn't make it here tonight. This is nothing more than a reactionary plan, not actionary, reactionary, because the administration understands that the people of this community, especially the people who support the library, are completely frustrated with the inaction. Going 6 years to get waivers to be certified absolutely makes no sense at all. You want to go for 1 year, 2 years? Okay. $225,000, whatever that dollar amount might be or needs to be on an annual basis, that should have been included in the budget to keep this city abreast of where it should be rather than seeking a waiver, because one of these days a waiver would not be made available. And if the city did not have the finances to pick up on that waiver, we've been sitting on $6.5 million of free cash. $6.5 million of free cash. And over the last 5 to 6 years, this has been a growing from $1.5 million up to $6.5 million. The Medford Library is like the stepchild to the school buildings, the public buildings in this community. Councilor Carviello, if he was here, in his first term 3 years ago, indicated with these new buildings that we have, these new school buildings, 12 years old, they're already $1 million in need of repairs. That's absolutely unacceptable. And you folks out there who are supporters of the library and understand what the value of what a book can do, when a child opens that book and reads it, it's the greatest learning utensil that they have. Over and beyond a teacher, making sure that the teacher teaches the right thing. But when that child picks up a book and opens it and reads it and understands what's in that book and puts a smile on his face, whether it's for pleasure or entertainment or whether it's for education, that is great. And when you have a stupid, and that's what I call it, a stupid kiosk parked in front of your public library that stops people to go in there to bring a book or to pay a book off and come out and find a ticket, that's the fastest way to lose a patron to come to your Medford Public Library. I don't believe in that. I won't accept it. To me, that is not what a public library is about. A public library is like a school. It's a basis of education. It's our central point in this community of Medford. You folks out there tonight, and those who might be watching, you folks made this happen. You were the actionary force that called the mayor's hand, and that's how you got it done. And I hope this doesn't have to be done in every other part of this budget. But you folks should be complimenting yourselves, knowing your kids are going to have a library, and if I have my way, you won't ever have to come before this podium to ask for this again, because it'll be there each and every year like it's supposed to be.
Thank you, Councilor Penta. Councilor Marks.
Thank you, Mr. President. And it was mentioned at the Committee of the Whole meeting that I think when we talk about a public library, the vision that many of us have, especially people that have been around for a while, is a place where you go and look up periodicals and read the newspaper and get online and so forth. And I think the vision that many of us have now in our community is that we don't have to stick with the old vision of what a library used to be. We can present our own vision of having a quality gathering space. Potentially, it was mentioned about having maybe an area that serves coffee and muffins, or an area where people can get together and show off things that may be of interest to them. There's so many different uses that could take place in that building that would increase the image of the building and also increase the participation at that library. And it was mentioned tonight, I mentioned it at the meeting, about a 5-year plan. We were told by Brian Boudelier and that there is one in the works right now. I hope that plan comes to fruition. I hope it gets posted online on the city website and anywhere else that people can access it. I hope there's going to be plenty of community involvement for suggestions and opinions on what they'd like to see the library be within the next 5 years and where we should be in the next 5 years. But make no mistake about it, that what took place today was a groundswell that I haven't seen in this community in quite some time. And And I'd like to see what happened today through the Medford Community Coalition, the Friends of the Medford Public Library, and all the other residents not connected to any particular group that expressed their interest in the library, expressed the fact that their children has had use in the past of the library. I remember growing up, we used to have a satellite in West Medford by the fire station, a library, and over tough economic times, that was the first to be cut. But I'd like to see this interest in our library expand throughout the community because we really need the public input. And as I stated, what happened today was, in my opinion, a miracle. The new growth the mayor talks about is something that has been under construction for several months now. So that's new growth that we knew about 8 months ago. You know, we don't just start construction. That project has been in the work for well over a year. So the money is out there. As Councilor Penta said, we have over $6 million in free cash. The money is out there. It was a matter of priorities. And I think when the administration saw that we are no longer going to sit back and just accept what's given to us, that we're going to get out there, we're going to fight for what we want as a community, I think that's when the mayor finally gave in and said, you know what, I can't go for a 7th year of having a waiver because, you know, we're losing residents to surrounding communities. And I've received more emails from people, as we heard tonight, that are going to the Lexington Public Library, the Winchester Public Library, and there's no reason why you should have to leave your own city to go to a place that's comfortable and safe for our children and our residents to attend. So I look forward to a future that talks about capital improvement, investments in the library, expanding the 2nd floor in the library, looking at ways of adding staff to a severely underfunded staff and underfunded budget. And believe me, we may get the additional funding next year just to maintain what we currently have, as the speaker said. But that's not enough. That maintains the status quo. We have to go above the status quo in our community and ask that the administration and whoever's mayor, that they fund the things that we feel are appropriate to our community, and that you know, improve the value of our homes and improve the lifestyle and a host of other things that a public library brings into a community, as well as education and community programming and the ability to meet other people in your community. The list goes on and on. And Barbara, I know you're still here. There used to be a little box in the front with a glass top that people would come in that saved old buttons, election buttons, and is that still present in something? I think that would be a great thing to expand on someday in a community room where people can bring things of interest and have nights where you swap things and so forth and talk about you know, antique cars or anything that may you know, bring some interest back into our public library. And I like the direction we're going in, and I say we all have to stay on top of this for the future of our library. And I thank all the participation.
Thank you, Councilor Marks. Ma'am, you'd like to address the council. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, Jean Martin, 10 Cumming Street. First of all, I want to thank you all for showing up tonight. It does feel like a dam has been broken open with the public, and I think that's a wonderful thing. I'm a proponent of the library. I like the library. I want to keep it. I love that idea. I think it was Mr. Marks that talked to me about adding a 2nd floor, making a meeting space maybe for the arts community. I'm for that. I don't think we need to buy it for me. We don't need to buy another building. We need to take care of the buildings we have first. But I do believe that the business community should be talking to the library community. I believe that the arts community should be talking to the police department. I believe that all these little groups should be talking to each other, and maybe one of those spaces could be the Medford Public Library, because we all need to come together. And I am a proponent of the library more than a lot of other projects in the city. But I would like to say, and I know I'm going to bust your bubble, which is the police station has to come first. I mean, I'm glad that you paid for the $250,000. I'm glad it came out of the sky. I have no idea where it came from, but I'm glad it came out of the sky. And I'm for funding that. But we also need to be behind the police department because, and the fire department headquarters, because that needs to come first. But I am for the library, and I think it's great. And I think the partnership with Chevalier Theater, I went to see Frankie and Ella Saturday night. It was a fantastic show.
Nice.
I think the library and the community, if we do put on a second floor after we build the police station, if we put on a second floor and we have the arts community in there with the library, I love the idea of coffee and some kind of, you know, donuts or whatever, bagels or whatever, so that you can sit down, read a book, play on your computer, your latest gadget, and make it a meeting space. I'm all for that. I think that's wonderful. And I think that should be part of the business district of Medford Square. I really think that all of these people need to sit down at the same time, because you have the Rotary sits over here and they have their business meeting, and arts community has their meetings. These people need to cross-breed. We need to cross ideas, and we need to see it as one big Medford Square. And I think that if we build it out, I see the Medford Public Library as part of that bigger plan. Thank you.
On the motion of Councilor Camuso to receive and place on file, you wish to speak on this matter, on the library? Thank you. On the motion of Councilor Camuso to receive and place on file, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Motion by Councilor Camuso for suspension of the rules to take paper on hand of the clerk. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Offered by Councilor Camuso, be it resolved that the Medford City Council adjourns this evening in memory of former Governor Argio Paul Salucci, who passed away 2 years ago today. Councilor Camuso.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I may, 2 years ago we lost a great person, and that was Governor Salucci, and he was very instrumental here in our community. He lost his battle with ALS, I'm sure most of us are aware, and I'd just like to adjourn this evening in his memory. You know, the one thing that was I remember specifically about Governor Salucci was I had the distinct honor of being sworn in by him 16 years ago at the Chevalier Auditorium. It was when I first got sworn in. And one thing that was evident was his ability to work with people. Whether you were Mike McGlynn, the Democrat, staunch Democrat for years, or at the time, people like our senior member, staunch Republican, he worked with everybody. He was friends with Republicans, friends with Democrats, and he just was a really good guy, and he helped Medford a lot. So I'd just like to keep his memory alive by adjourning this evening in memory of him who passed away 2 years ago.
Several years ago, when I was still in religion, I was invited by a prominent local attorney at a fundraiser for Governor Salucci to give the invocation there. Great man, great leader.
Super.
Councilor Penta?
I want to thank Councilor Camuso for bringing this up, because one of my greatest feelings in government was being the chairperson for Governor Salucci here in the city of Medford. And as everyone knows, this is an extremely Democratic community. But we won the city of Medford by 6 votes. And that was a great accomplishment, because it was just symptomatic of his winning throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. He definitely was a people's person. He had a wonderful father. I met him, wonderful wife, and 2 beautiful daughters. He just really exemplified what a leader should be. He never threw his weight around to say, I'm the governor. He could walk in here right now and he would sit down and he would just be like one of the people. Truly exemplifying what a leader should be all about. And I am very fortunate to have had that pleasure and that honor to not only work on this committee, but to be his campaign manager here in the city of Medford. And very proud of the fact that not only did he win here in the city of Medford, but more importantly, he won for all the people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, because I think his record, upon reflection, will show that he definitely was a people's person, governor. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. So on the motion?
And if I may, before, as Councilor Penta said, for Councilor Penta to run the campaign here as a Republican in Medford, for him to win by 6 votes, it's unheard of, Councilor.
And that's why
why they love them.
But wait a minute. But that's why this November I'm going to win and be your new mayor. How's that?
No campaigning behind the rails. No campaigning behind the rails.
Oh, I'm sorry.
On the motion of approval, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. While we're under suspension, 15-527, petition by Alexander Delapace of Laundry Unlimited, 4110 Mystic Valley Parkway, Medford, for Keno to Go monitor to be installed at 4110 Mystic Valley Parkway, Medford. Are you here, Mr. Delapace? And do we have, whose committee is this? Hi, please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Alex Delapace, and I work at the Circle Laundry in 110 Mystic Valley Parkway. I live in Waltham, Massachusetts.
Mr. President?
And you're in favor of this matter?
Yes.
Very good. Council Penta?
Did you just say you work there, or do you own the store?
I own that.
You own the store, and you're the applicant for the license, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Very
I didn't understand it. Okay.
So the Councilor Knight of the Licensing Committee, in the absence of Chairman Carviello, do you have a recommendation for us?
Mr. President, the paperwork appears in order. I would move for approval because the paperwork is in order and it's a conforming use. However, I'd like to be recorded in opposition.
Very good. Councilor Longo-Kern.
If I may ask the clerk, through the chair, how many Keno licenses do we have in laundry establishments? Yeah, is that, that's an allowable use, but
This might be the only one.
first one?
Well, I mean, this particular petitioner has, I believe, other lottery items, the tickets, the mega bucks, and all that kind of stuff like that.
So you have a little, can you explain your establishment a little bit more? Is there like a little convenience type, or it's just lottery with a clerk?
It's a laundromat, dry cleaning, drop-off store, and we sell lottery tickets. We have the machine to sell Mega Millions, Mega Bucks, etc.
Scratch tickets?
Scratch tickets, yes.
Oh, so somebody's always there working the counter?
It's always got attended, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good. So on the motion of approval by no? On the motion of approval by Councilor Knight, who wishes to be marked in opposition, all those in favor?
The paperwork's in order and it's a conforming use, so I move for approval because the paperwork's in order and it's a conforming use.
All those in favor? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The chair is in doubt. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Okay. So this is to
grant the Keno license to the
not in
laundry.
opposition.
Not in opposition.
Okay.
Can I ask one more question?
Not in opposition. Okay.
Just one more question.
Councilor Longo-Kern.
Thank you, through the chair. With regards to notification, how many people were notified on this? As far as neighbors are concerned?
This is something that the lottery takes care of through newspaper advertising that not anything the city does. This is a lottery. They're just giving the consideration to the cities if they oppose it or don't oppose it, but it's not a hearing type deal.
So a yes vote is for no opposition?
No opposition.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Council Penta.
Let me ask you a question, sir. You have a laundromat,
Yes.
and you want to put a Keno license in there, and you want to put Keno in the laundromat?
Yes.
Point of clarification, Councilor Knight.
It's my understanding that you already have the ability to sell Keno, and now you just want to put the screen in so that people can sit there and watch their numbers come up while they're washing their clothes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, is the other part of that, is the requirement that you have to have somebody in there at a desk, at a Keno desk, to make sure that they're the right age?
But we have attendant at all times.
You have an attendant there at all times?
Yes.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Camuso. Council Carviello. Yes. Council Knight. No. Vice President Longo-Kern. Yes. Council Marks. Yes. Council Penta. Yes. President Del Russo.
Yes. With a vote of 6 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. Congratulations, Keno to go.
Thank you very much.
While we're under suspension, offered by Councilor Penta, be it resolved that a Medford business person appear before the council to explain his most recent experience with the Republic parking kiosk people. Mr. Businessman, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
John Warren Stoneham. I work at the Medford Tax Experts, 425 High Street, West Medford. I distributed an email over the weekend asking the council for consideration of 2 points. There's a Park Medford program in the city, and I don't see where the Park Medford program is held accountable or responsible for the enforcement. The issue specific to West Medford is the parking lot, where the signage says 2-hour business. I got my hair cut today, and at the salon, I didn't bring this up, but that was the discussion. It's 3 hours free parking. In my request for dismissal, it was stated the lot is not a free lot. Now, when the program was put in place in January, I drove down to the Park Medford office in South Medford to find out the rules. I can't be in business if my customers are getting tickets. I was told the lot was off the program, that it was unnecessary for me to buy a business permit. The appeal process of this is being heard by Park Medford. My suggestion is that there be a citizen council or something else to review the behavior of Park Medford. The signage is inadequate, the communications is lacking. I got a phone call this afternoon. Customer. Even if I pay the ticket, she won't come back. She won't shop or dine in Medford. She parked in front of the funeral home where there was no signage and there's no parking kiosks. I explained to her, as I did anyone that I sat down to do business with, here are some quarters, please put something in there. When she got down to her car, there was a ticket on it. She appealed it. She's from Malden. She understands we have to pay to park, but there's parking meters and signage. So people who want to do the right thing know what they're supposed to do. My second point that I want to make tonight before the council is that there's a 7-day payment requirement, or my car is subject to being impounded. Now, I could be down the Cape for 2 weeks this summer, or taking the kids to Disney. Medford has a student transient population. Maybe they moved after the semester, and the U.S. Post Office might not get that message to them in 7 days. There are several issues in the administration of this program that really needs some supervision and review. And I ask your help to make the program run better, please. Thank you for your consideration.
Councilor Penta.
You got a ticket yourself, correct? Did you get a ticket yourself?
Yes, I did. And that was the first I learned that the rules had changed of the lot in West Medford. When I went there to ask what the rules were for the village, I was told I didn't need a business permit. Well, after I got the ticket, I got the business permit. Tonight, I parked here at City Hall, and it said, permit for municipal employees, 2 hours business. Now, it's possible we're all going to get tickets because the rules have changed. I really don't know. There has to be a better way to communicate the rules. There has to be better signage. And as a community, we really should be holding Park Medford up to the level of responsibility that we're holding the citizens to.
On this subject that you're talking, you're not the first person to complain, but you're saying something that rings true to all the parking lots, because that signage was supposed to be changed to 3 hours, and it's still at 2 hours. And there's, if you notice when you talked about the funeral home, if you look across the street in front of a 2-family house, there are people still parking out there and trying to put money in front of that 2-family house that was supposed to come down in January when the chief of police was here. It was one of the first night we had this huge discussion on kiosks in the square in certain locations. This is just symptomatic of why this whole system has to go, because it's inconsistent, it's unfair, It doesn't truly reflect upon you as a business person. If you're going to have to be worried about where your patrons go, and if they're going to get a ticket, and if they're going to express they're not coming back, like you said, if there were meters or something more easily understandable, hey, you see a meter, you know what a meter means. But the city didn't go that option, and they went through this idea of kiosks, and some of the spots just don't make any sense. Now, you talked about in front of the funeral home where you're at. In front of Almont Glass, I believe there's a kiosk, and if you go further up the street, in front of a dentist's office, there's a kiosk, which makes absolutely no sense at all. You go across the street in West Medford Square, in front of the shoe store, on the side street by the railroad tracks, he has a kiosk. But you go further down the street in West Medford, to the Arlington line, where there's a block of stores there, and there's no kiosk. You go on Boston Avenue, the corner of Boston Avenue and Arlington Street, I believe there's 8 stores there, businesses, and there's no kiosk there. It's a huge inconsistency. It's absolutely totally unfair. And whatever you could come up with, a suggestion to me would be, I wouldn't want to amend it. I'd want to get rid of it because it doesn't serve any purpose. That's not what this council was looking for. The committee that first formed to review all of this was to have a traffic enforcement, not a traffic enhancement program, revenue enhancement, especially to an out-of-towner. So I thank you for coming and telling us your plight. You're just one of many. And since tonight, this afternoon, when I met this lady, she indicated to me not only that she put the money in the machine said it didn't take the money, and when she finally put it in a second time, she got a receipt for another car, which wasn't hers, which means that the person prior to her did not take her receipt. So now she put the money in, she has no, so that's now, she's up to 50 cents. Now she had to put a third quarter in to make it 75, so it would spit out her number plate on that particular receipt. So there are just so many things, just so many problems with this thing. And I'm sorry, as a business person, because that's what my concern is. You're the guy, the small business person that's getting hurt throughout this entire community. And I apologize on behalf of the city that you have to go through that, but I can assure you, it's going to go. It's going to go.
Thank you, and I appreciate the gentleman at the podium's comments. Over the past 3 or 4 weeks, it's been discussed that it's going to go, it's got to go. Where are we going to fund the $800,000 from? That's the question, because it's got to go is one thing. I think this council took a vote that we'd like to see it go, but you have to pay for it. We have a library that was looking for $250,000 this evening to just maintain status accredited and to be, not accredited, but to be part of the Minuteman Association. $800,000 of taxpayer money. Where are we going to take it from? And don't say that we'll just take them to court and get out of the contract, because that's...
Point of information. That dollar amount is absolutely incorrect, because right now nobody knows what that dollar amount might be. If you read the contract, and the contract talks within the first year, and I believe the first year the startup number is $900,000, but they've collected close to $300,000 so far. But there are 7 infractions in this contract. In the contract.
Name the major one that you could go to court and get rid of them with. Name the infraction. Name the infraction that you think a judge would say, you know what, Medford, you're right, get rid of them at no charge. Name the infraction. You said there's 7.
Well, I don't have my book with me tonight. I didn't realize we were going to get into this, but one of the real main ones...
You said 7.
Would you wait a minute?
One
of the real main ones was when the gentleman, Mr. Nash, came here, they were supposed to have a public program that indoctrinated their employees to what they were supposed to do, knowing the streets. Number 1, tagging people who had permits. Number 2, driving around the streets of the city of Medford without having their cars properly lettered. Number 3, giving tickets out in public parking lots. 4, 5, I just don't have it here.
So those
they're
I believe Councilor Camuso has the floor.
So the 5 that he just mentioned, there's not one that would put us out of the contract in a reasonable person's, as far as I'm concerned. But the rhetoric saying we can just get rid of it, this and that, we have to pay for it. I'd just like to know where, because bring something forward, tangible, where the dollars and cents are going to come from, and then we'll look at it.
Well, you know something, Councilor? That's your opinion. And I feel very, very comfortable. You know something? You were on this council when the vote took place a few years ago to take $1 million from the water and sewer account to balance the budget of the mayor's budget, okay? You took it from one account because you couldn't balance the budget. You took over $1 million.
And you voted for it, too.
And I voted for it, too.
You voted for it, too.
And I voted for it, too,
Correct.
okay?
Correct.
But this situation is entirely different.
Well, why are you bringing that up?
If you have to pay to get rid of it and to save the small business person, whatever it costs, that's what I would intend to do.
So is that going to be your answer to everything?
I would mitigate it. Pardon me?
So your answer to everything is just going to be pay to stop this, pay to stop that?
No, I said I would mitigate it.
The city would be bankrupt.
I said
the city would be bankrupt.
I'm not going to argue with you
Well,
anymore.
I know, because you don't have a leg to stand on. It doesn't work.
Councilors, let's focus on the subject matter.
As I said, Mr. President, back to the gentleman, I'm just sick and tired of the rhetoric saying let's get rid of it. We need a tangible something to get rid of it.
Point of information, Councilor Marks.
If you're sick and tired of the rhetoric, then you're the one of the main reasons why we're in this program, because you supported the mayor rank and file on every issue. So that's not sit back now because some of us want to get out of a program that you supported.
I brought the resolution forward to get rid of it.
You brought nothing
Councilor,
forward.
you brought these meters to the city. We'll go back to the minutes.
Forward.
Mr. President, I have the floor.
Don't be disingenuous.
Councilor
Don't be
Camuso has the floor.
disingenuous.
Councilor Marks.
I'm glad Councilor Marks brought this up. It was him and his committee that he sat on for many years that said we need to have parking enforcement, number one, and parking meters. I have the records from the chief of police.
Councilor Marks.
We have the records.
First of all, he just said it was my committee, which the gentleman doesn't know what he's talking
committee
about.
you sat on.
It was the mayor's committee, so the gentleman is just spurting out again, like he does every Tuesday night,
Councilors,
false
let's be
information.
civil here.
It was the mayor's committee that you happen to be very friendly with, and
Correct.
now you're trying to back away from him now
Not at all.
because he's a lame duck mayor. You're the one that supported this program rank and file.
Same vote as you.
When we took the vote.
Same vote as you.
When we took the vote, Mr. President, with all due respect, to have this program done in-house, you were against taking it in-house. You wanted to hire the Tennessee group. That was
Yep.
your stance.
Correct.
That was your stance. When we talked, Mr. President, about kiosk on the street, Councilor Camuso was in favor of kiosk on the street.
Councilor
And we
Camuso,
were
point of
against that.
information.
So,
Councilor, point of
if
information.
you want to talk
This
issues,
is a
we'll talk
very
issues,
long-
Councilor.
We're going to talk issues.
Yeah, you better-
Councilor Camuso was the president at the time when I made the motion to have parking meters at the final meeting and not kiosks. So if you want to just throw out stuff that's not true and inaccurate, listen, you've been doing it for a long time. People are catching on. The numbers are going down. But that's beside. We'll see if you're here November 4th. But with all due respect,
let's
Mr. President,
focus.
with all due respect, this council voted unanimously for this program. It's a valid question to ask a colleague of mine where he's going to get the money to get out of a contract.
Where is the point of personal privilege?
He said this
for
council
Councilor
voted.
Penta?
I did not vote for this kiosk program.
You gave the mayor
I did not vote. I only allowed the mayor to go and to negotiate for a contract up to 10 years and then represent it back to the council and compare it. Check your notes. Check your notes, April of 2014. Then we came back in September 12th of 2014, and we had a two rinky-dink piece of paper that said confidential, as if the city was to do it. And the city and the mayor and the budget director at that time would entertain it. Would not entertain it.
So
you know something? This is getting so blown out of hand. I'm sticking to my comment. You know, I would mitigate to get rid of the program. If Councilor Camuso, if he doesn't like it, he doesn't have to like it.
Thank you.
He doesn't support me anyway. So
You've
what
made
difference
your point.
why should I think about
Mr.
what
President,
he said?
Councilor Camuso, we'll wrap it up.
As I stated, there are valid concerns out there, but it's thrown around. This is the 4th week in a row that it's been thrown around. We're just going to get rid of it and do this. People in the community want to know where we're going to get it. Are we going to take it from the library funding? Are we going to take it from the school's funding? Are we going to take it from the police? Where are we going to come up with the $800,000+ to have them take a walk? That's a legitimate question. And if the councilor feels uncomfortable getting a question asked, then guess what? I don't know what to tell him. It's unfortunate, but back up. You say you wanted to get out of it.
Clarification.
Point of clarification, Councilor Longo-Kern.
I'm just so confused. I'm pretty sure, wasn't it you, Council Camuso, that brought the motion forward to vote to get rid of the parking?
Correct.
Where did you believe we were going to get the money?
Correct.
Where did you believe we were going to get the money when you put that forward?
I had an idea, and I didn't present it yet, but we'll see soon. Because with all due respect, I brought the motion forward. I had 5 members of this council support it. But the councilor that sits across from me wants to talk about it week after week. He hasn't made a tangible effort to bring forward a plan to get rid of it.
Well, let's move on then, councilors.
As I said,
You brought the motion forward before fall, but you don't even tell us how you're going to do it.
Thank
Councilor,
you.
if you
Councilor
remember,
Camuso has the floor. Councilor, please wrap it up.
I'll wrap it up. But the request that we had was for the mayor to get out of this and to come up with a plan. Councilor Penta's throwing it out without a plan, so be it.
Thank you, councilors. Councilor Penta,
With
let's
all due
wrap this
respect,
up.
Yeah, I am going to wrap it up. I am going to wrap it up. I'm not going to dignify the comment he just made that I don't have a plan. I don't have to say anything as to what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. I'm telling you that I would mitigate the plan to get out. And if it's going to cost money, who cares? I'm more concerned about saving the businesses that are losing business right now. And if a guy like that has to come here and defend his position as it relates to having to pay quarters to give his patrons to put in a kiosk so he can do business, and the guy down the street with the coffee shop has to do the same thing, and other parts of the city don't have it, that's unfair, that's unjust, and as far as I'm concerned, it's got to go. And whatever it takes to get rid of it, that's what we're going to do.
Thank you very much,
You're
Councilor. Councilor Knight.
Mr. President, thank you very much. I think that it's important to note that the resolution that was brought forward was to listen to the concerns that this gentleman had, and we've done that. And he's asked us to take some action. So I think it would be important for us to sit down maybe as a body and come up with something that we can agree on, that we can present to the Traffic Commission, if in fact it is the wishes of this council to get out of the contract. I'm a little concerned that the meetings are going to start turning into campaign commercials. And we're not going to be taking care of the business that needs to be taken care of, Mr. President.
We're going to wrap up this business right now,
And I'd appreciate that. I think that, we've heard from business owners, and we'll continue to hear from business owners because it's not a perfect program. The gentleman's right. The gentleman's right. The signage is terrible. The signage is terrible. The communication is terrible. And the relationship that we have with Park Medford could be much stronger. One of the recommendations that we have a council have been giving to people would be when they feel as though there has been a violation of their rights to report it to the Consumer Commission. I think that we have a job here to provide these people with recourse, what direction to go in if in fact they are aggrieved by the situation. Rhetoric is great, but action is better, Mr. President, and I respect Councilor Penta's position. I respect Councilor Camuso's position on the issue. It's a passionate issue. It's a big issue that's affecting the community as a whole. However, I think that we really need to start providing solutions as opposed to, yelling and screaming and fighting with each other. We all know that the program's not perfect. We all know the program's not perfect. The question is, what steps can we take to make it better?
Thank you.
Because as of right now, it's not going anywhere.
Exactly. Thank you, Councilor Knight. Sir, there are other people that would like to speak on this matter. Do you have anything else to offer to us? Thank you. Hi, please state your name and address for the records, please.
My name is Michael Ruggiero. I live on 18 Pembroke Street. I think everyone in the council wants a solution to this contract issue. I believe here's our solution. It fixes all the problems. Let me read from the contract directly. In Section 4, Chapter D, it says the operator acknowledges, operator being Republic Parking, acknowledges that it is within the exclusive discretion, province, and jurisdiction of the city to set, amend, alter, or change the amount of fees, fines, charges, or other expenses that relate to parking spaces in the city of Medford. The way that we fix the problem is make the parking spaces worth $0. It does not violate the contract, and it removes this possibility of having any violation.
I'd be a little bit more comfortable relying on legal opinions from the solicitor as opposed to a layperson.
Thank you.
I'm not a lawyer, absolutely. I'm just providing a possible solution to this parking problem. We do not have to violate the contract. We do not have to pay onerous fees. We have control over how the parking works in the city. That is the solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Gesundheit.
Mario Martin, formerly from 17 Benton Road at 198 Harvard. I just wanted to talk about the parking program. I think what Mr. Ruggiero just mentioned was a really good idea, and it supports creativity, which is something that we need, especially with this issue. Just to kind of highlight what people are telling me, going around South Medford, I'm hearing what people are telling me about this parking issue, and it's drastic, especially because it's causing issues with businesses. There's businesses that are saying that they're going out of business, and I know someone personally who does massage therapy who tried to start her services after graduating from the Salter School here in Malden to try and compete out here, and it was impossible for her to do that because her clients couldn't actually park anywhere. Businesses are definitely being affected. The residents, commerce, residents really didn't have a say in this at all, and I don't think residents would have strongly supported a Tennessee corporation coming in here and offering, Tennessee taxes that they'd be collecting. And I mean, honestly, no one really supports this, but you know, Councilor Camuso, to be quite honest with you. The elderly are drastically affected by this, sir. This program affects everyone, honestly. And you know, the problem is that this program doesn't really help in terms of the type of infrastructure that we have here in Medford, where like in something like Somerville or in Boston, you know, there's T's around, there's better public transportation, you know what I mean? So people don't need to have cars, so if they do park, you know, whatever the reason was why, personally, I think the only reason why this program was implemented was because it was a revenue stream. But that's speculation, that's what I think. But if it was really for fixing a parking problem, it's not really doing that. In fact, I mean, it's obviously made it worse. So you know, Penta mentioned, you know, you said, you know, would Penta sue? I would definitely look at the contingency plan. I would look at the contingency plan, and I would see what we can do, because ultimately, Medford residents didn't have a choice or a say, and I think we need to welcome the feedback. I think we need to go back to the drawing board and figure out a way where we can make this work. Thank you.
I'd like to address a few things to the gentleman, because he may walk around South Medford, but as a councilor, and I think most of us as councilors have heard positive feedback regarding this program from some businesses, whether it's in West Medford, whether it's in Medford Square, where they've had their strongest March and April that they had in all time. Now, I'm not going to throw those businesses out there. I know the mayor's done that on one occasion, and I didn't think it was quite fair to that particular business. But I know for a fact that the loudest member of this council to get rid of this program has been told by a business owner that it was the best March they have ever had. So
excuse me. And there's a business owner right here, right now, that's marched over
well,
here.
Mario, as you campaign across the city, you're going to understand there's many people in this community with different philosophies, different feelings.
And the majority of them.
Well, the majority of them. Would you talk to 200?
The majority of them are saying
with all due respect, as you're entitled to your opinion, I'm entitled to my opinion. And there is people in this community, business owners. You're not talking to all the business owners in this community, throughout the community. People that are on second floors, that are not on street level, that have their massage parlors throughout the squares, throughout other areas. You're not getting the phone calls that this council has dealt with for the last 10 years of people parking and taking the bus all day, living in their neighborhoods like Damon Road, like Winthrop Street, like Boston Ave, like High Street, like Boynton Road, the gentleman nodding his head right there. You're not privy to those conversations because you're not an elected official. Now, if you're successful in your endeavors, maybe you'll see the many different sides of every issue. But to say that everyone's for it or against it, it's fiction. It's fiction.
That's not my rhetoric.
I can show you emails. I can show you phone calls. You walked South Medford. I know you have. I know you have because people have told me. But with that being said, there's a portion of the community that
my rhetoric wasn't that every single person disagrees with it. My rhetoric was that the majority of people that are dealing with this, the elderly, when it's wintertime and those things don't work and they shut off and they don't accept your credit cards.
Snow emergencies snow emergencies. They're off. They're off.
When elderly women and men get out of their vehicle and they.
I think that we're losing focus here, and decorum's starting to deteriorate a little bit. When individuals are speaking, they should be speaking through the chair. It's not a one-on-one conversation. It's a conversation through the chair, Mr. President, that's necessary in order to maintain
Musso, thank you for your remarks. Councilor Knight has made his point of parliamentary procedure. The next councilor in queue is Councilor Carviello, there is no yielding on the floor, and the madam will speak and present to the council. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm so glad I came tonight. I think I'm going to be up here 3 times tonight. Sorry, y'all, but my name is Debbie Steiner-Hayes. I live at 29 Damon Road. I have to say, I applaud you guys for having the parking meters. I think it's a fabulous idea. I do live on Damon Road. I know people who park in Medford Square who come from Stoneham and Wilmington and all sorts of places and have to get to park on our streets for free and take the 326 and go into Boston. If you live in Winchester, you have to pay, I think it's $300 a quarter to park on the street in front of the train station because it's so packed. And then you have you can park on the street for $300 a quarter. For us to pay the meters is no big deal. My only small thing is, yes, if you don't have kiosks in West Medford, yes, you should get a kiosk. Yes, you should get the signs better. And my recommendation, if you so please just listen, is to maybe make it a 4-hour time frame instead of a 2-hour, so that, yes, because honestly, when I get my hair done, it takes a long time. So I understand the hair salon saying, they're losing customers. But other than that, good job, guys. Let's come into the 21st century and make some money for this town. So
Thank
we can
you.
improve our library.
Councilor Caraviello.
Thank you, Mr. President. No, Mr. President, the major objective of this plan was to turn the parking spots over for the businesses. And at some point it has done that, but I'll tell you, the reason you're seeing more spots, especially in the squares, is because A, it's taking the commuters off the street, and B, it's taking the employees off the streets. That's why you're seeing all the open spaces, because Brandon's law firm, who might be in the square, has 5 employees. They're now parking in the parking lots. You're finding that the business lots are all full now. And so now we've created another problem, that we have nowhere for employees to park. So that's what we've done. And people are parking in the Governor's Ave lot and getting tickets because they're working in the square and they get nowhere. The parking lot on Route 16, jam-packed every day. If you're not there by 8:30, you're not getting a parking spot anymore. The parking lot down by the old Tony Lucci's, full every day. Those lots used to be empty. Now they're full. And that's part of the reason you're seeing the empty spots in the square. Again, yes, it has hurt some business, and yes, we do need to do some work on this. There is a lot of work. There is still a lot of work that needs to be done on this, in order to make it even somewhat of a success or not a success. But I say more dialogue has to happen. But again, to come up here every week and do it every week, I don't think is the proper forum. Maybe a separate public hearing with the parking company, I think is the better forum to go, so we can just concentrate on that particular issue of that evening, Mr. President.
Thank you for that recommendation, Councilor Caraviello. Councilor Camuso.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I know for a fact that a poll was done regarding major issues in this community, and parking fell well below number 4, followed behind education, economic development, senior citizens programs, and that is factual. To fall down that far on the totem pole, it speaks volumes.
Thank you, Councilor.
And I'm going to leave it at that. But so we just heard that no one's for it, but one lady that's come up here and spoke eloquently that we don't see at the council meeting every week. I think this is the first time I've seen her at the council meeting, and she's been here longer than all of us because she was here for 5:30 for the library meeting. But this is a regular, average citizen that pays an enormous tax bill on Damon Road, and she just gave her feelings on it. So for everyone to say that there's no one that's for this is why I caution people.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Knight.
Mr. President, thank you very much. And Councilor Caraviello made a very excellent point. And I think when we look at the transformation of this parking program and the reason why it was brought to the city was to turn over spots and to prevent all-day parking from commuters. And I think we've accomplished those goals. And the one thing that we've accomplished as well is scaring a lot of people away from our business districts, and I've said that before and I'll say it again. But Councilor Caraviello was absolutely right when he said that, a lot of the spots that have cleared up weren't necessarily all-day commuters that were parking their car in West Medford Square and getting on the train. They were all-day commuters that were parking their car in West Medford Square to go to work in West Medford Square. And when you look at the number of business permits that were issued in 2014 prior to the rollout of the plan, some 260 or so, versus the number of business permits that have been issued after the rollout of the plan, which is somewhere around 560 or so, I think we'll see that there was absolute abuse of our current systems. So I can understand when people raise the issue saying, well, enforcement would have solved that problem. and paying might not necessarily be the answer. However, the program that we have is the program that we have, and we need to work within the confines of this contract that we have right now to determine whether or not we can make it work for us or not.
Thank you, Councilor Knight. Ma'am, you wish to address the council? Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Jean Martin, 10 Cumming Street. First of all, this was an enforcement issue, and we only have 105 police officers in this city. We didn't hire me to take care of this. We didn't internally or whatever. We had a parking problem. It needed to be enforced, and we only have 105 officers. And to give them the task, the added task, to run after parked cars was a waste of their time and energy and skills, in my opinion. We did need to get the commuter traffic off the streets, and it was a success. For those are the two things that it did accomplish. One, we took the bulk of ticketing off of the police rolls, duties, and two, we got the commuters and the employees off of those streets in front of their own businesses, and that was a success. But I do encourage the public to come forward, and so that's because, Mr. Knight, that is and I'll probably vote for you this year too, but you're doing a good job overall. But I disagree with you on this one, which is it is only through the public coming forward to this podium that we can push the solicitor to have to answer these questions, because the mayor doesn't have to right now. He can just coast on the end of his tour. And so we need to have public input, so that we can pressure, and that's only by this podium. And that's, so I'm glad that everybody's questioning it. As far as the meters, it's a debacle. I mean, it really is. I'm glad that the parking is not under the, police aren't wasting their time on parked cars. And I'm glad that the commuters are off. That said, Saturday night, I saw a woman at 7 p.m. trying to put money in the meter, and she was so grateful that I came up to her, because she was trying to figure it out. Nobody understands these meters. Nobody if you're not from Medford and you don't come to these meetings and you didn't take a class, or I've seen it over and over and over again across from Colleen's, old people trying to figure it out, and some people, and when they do know it, they're complaining about it. Maybe after a while they'd get used to it. But my question is, because we do need a solution to it, is what about putting in meters? How much would it cost the city to transfer over from these parking meters that are computerized and nobody understands to a meter system? I mean, is that a solution? And it has to happen in the next year. I mean, you get, like you said, these business people, they're going nuts. And I want the city, I want Medford Square to survive, and I want business in there until 10 p.m. at night, and I want businesses during the week. It's dead after 6 o'clock, and it shouldn't be. And on the weekends, it should be open till 11 or 12 o'clock, and we should be getting that business rotation. But if they're dying during the day, how are you gonna produce something that's going to be open during the evening? And we need the income from these businesses, because we do need so much building maintenance. And so this feeds into the police department, which I always come back to. So anyway, thank you very much for considering my thoughts.
Thank you. And I'd just like to, one more point. The city of Medford, we all do know that we get those robocalls from the Captain Clementi. There was a robocall that went out to this entire community regarding the parking meeting that this Medford City Council was holding in room 207, right over here. A robocall, 57,000 people, many, many homes, and the meeting fit right in that room. So.
I and many people that I know never got that robocall, so I don't know who the 57,000 people he's talking about.
Well,
thank you,
I'm sure, Mr. President, that I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but I'm sure if the city administration wanted to, they could probably get the data back up that says either his phone was an answering machine or it was hung up on, because they do keep records of that. So I'm sure for Zero Summit Road, if they go back and look at that robocall, they'll be able to tell the data. But with that being said, here's one last point. I'd like to get an update of all the revenue collected through these machines, because for every one person that it's acting up on or is having a hard time, there's another 10, 15, 20, whatever it is, used it successfully. So I'd like to know how much they've taken in so far through the Park Medford application on the cellular phones that I know is becoming very popular, as well as the meters itself.
So and this is the only motion we've had, a motion of Councilor Camuso, that the council get an update year to date
Year-to-date.
Year-to-date on the revenue generated by, what is it called, Park Medford?
Park Medford.
Republican parking.
And one last point is too.
Yes.
The majority of the people that are working there, this has been another misinformation. More than half of the employees there are Medford residents from this community. So, and God forbid one of them falls down and does get hurt now or something like that, throws out their back. It's not on the city of Medford. It's on the vendor. But there are Medford employees that are doing most of the jobs down there. And other councilors around this rail can back me up on that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councilor Camuso. Councilor Penta.
Can we also amend that to get all the tickets that have been abated?
And a
total
listing
amount.
Year-to-date of all abated tickets. All tickets that have been abated. On that motion, we have a citizen. How are you, Mr. Citizen? Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Anthony D'Antonio, 12 Yale Street in Medford. First of all, people who seem to have no problem with the parking enforcement program are people that are least affected by it. Now, we know that there's been an alleviation of the cars parking in the squares who take the bus, but all they've done is they've gone from here to here. They've gone from the streets to the Whole Food parking lot. They've gone up to the Bow Street area, up near Magoon Square. There's the cars are inundating the streets, and these are the people that are going and parking in back of Mystic Avenue. You haven't stopped the commuter parking problem in Medford, because now all the streets are getting crowded, but they don't happen to be in the square. And I'll be honest with you, there was never a problem to get a parking spot in Medford in the big lot next to the senior citizen buildings years ago. I mean, you could always go there if you wanted to walk, all right? And that was your choice. I like to see the business people who say that they enjoy and they look forward to people having to pay to come into their shops, because I have yet to find one. I really do. And I'm not trying to be facetious. And I'd like to see the numbers for a program that they had the best March in the years. We still had the snow pile in front of the state police building on the parkway. There was over the roof. I mean, people couldn't even get to the stores. So I'd like, unless it was the guy that sells shovels at the local hardware store. I mean, really. But this started.
Point of information, Councilor Camuso.
One piece of data that I would ask you to get maybe is the meals tax compared to last year. And there was an increase in meals tax over the winter in the city of Medford and the whole first quarter. So that's data that backs up your theory.
Present our comments through the chair, please.
I apologize.
Kindly. Point of clarification.
The quarter that just came back in from the Commonwealth of Mass had an increase overall in the state by some $400,000 in tax revenue. It's $400,000 more than projected. It's a sign that the economy is getting better throughout the entire Commonwealth. But specifically here in the city of Medford, you hit it right in the head. Show me the businesses that say they love them and they want them and it's good for their business.
Thank you for the point of information, councilors. Mr. Citizen, please continue your comments.
Through the chair, Councilor Camuso, I understand about the meals tax in the restaurants, because most people in a time of, when you have one storm after another, most people cocoon and they'll walk to the places. Very few were probably driving, but a lot of people were going in restaurants. But I'm talking about the majority of the businesses in the squares, in the private squares, the dry cleaners, the florists. Huh? Did I say private square? I meant the side squares.
The citizen misspoke politely.
I have a private. No, it's. I misspoke on that one. But as I said before, the problem. There's a lot of things that could be fixed in the program, but the major problem with this whole parking program was there was no due diligence. There was no going out to see how these other programs worked in other cities, to see what problems they had. It was wham, bam, thank you, man, and here we go with a parking program. And it's been a mess. It really has been. It's been terrible. I've seen people, I've helped people, I can't see the bloody screen. And you're right, there are people that are trying to put money in and they get tagged. So I don't know what I haven't gotten a ticket yet because I refuse to put any money in the meters at all. None whatsoever. I'll walk the 2 miles to the square. I will. because I'm just upset with that parking program. And you councilors voted in good faith to give the administration the ability to work up to a 10-year contract. But then on behalf of your good efforts, the contract got signed, and then here it is, here's the contract. Now we have to live with the mistakes. There was no shaking out of this whole bloody package. So anyway, I just want to say that the problem has actually just moved to other neighborhoods, and it's evident. And anybody wants to come in, I'll show you the cars. Whole Foods, the whole parking lot was loaded there at 9 o'clock. There were like about 6 people in Whole Foods. So where are those cars? They get the bus into Harvard. Thank you very much.
my neighbor. And my other neighbor.
So I just actually want to finish before I was cut off.
Your name and address.
Mario
for the
Martin,
record.
198 Harvard. You said I said everyone.
Sir,
I didn't say everyone.
Sir, I don't
didn't
want to
say
get
everyone.
you nervous. Will you
I
address
said
our
majority of
remarks
the
to
people.
chair?
I said let me talk this time.
Councilor.
I said majority. I didn't say I said the majority of the people. I didn't say everyone.
Point of parliamentary procedure, Councilor Knight.
The questions have to go through the chair. This is turning into a street. This is turning into
Well,
people screaming in the playground. This is turning into people screaming in
Mr.
Mr. President. This is turning into people screaming in the playground. This is a legislative body here. You know what I mean? I think we need to act like it.
Thank you. Mr. Martin, you may continue to speak, and please direct your remarks to the chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize. Although we just had a young lady come in here and state her testimony, and I want to thank you. And I agree there's a parking problem in Medford. We've had several people come here today and speak about it. So, that's all I was trying to finish explaining earlier, which was that, I wasn't saying everyone in Medford disagrees with it. What I'm simply saying is that, yes, there was a parking problem. Yes, we implemented a solution that didn't work, and businesses are failing and suffering, and residents and other people. Some people may, think it's a really good thing, but the majority, is what I was saying, believe that it's not a good solution. And so, at this point right now, what I'm really trying to ask is, why wouldn't a certain someone here understand that and see that? Do you see what I'm saying? That's just really all I'm saying.
Thank you very much. Sir, please state your name and address for the record. Welcome. I hope this was the subject you came to speak on.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, President. I want to thank the President and all the city councilors for everything that they do for the city, and a very big thanks for Robert Penner to be running for the mayor. He will be the next new mayor of the city of Medford,
Sir,
and he's going to fix.
Campaign at the rail.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that all these problems that you're talking about, he will clear them up.
Thank
this field administration that we have here now with McGlynn, that's going to be over with. And he will clear up all these failed programs.
Thank you. We don't campaign in this room.
Well, I just want to, give praise because, he's a hard worker and he's going to clear up the city.
We're here to speak on the parking, so would you please direct your
all right,
remarks
can I mention something about the parking?
Yes.
They mentioned earlier too about the parking, where the city's going to get the money for that. When our new mayor comes in,
Thank
and you know
you
who
very much, sir.
all right. All you have to do with the money is look at the legal team of Medford will look at that and they'll pick that apart. It'll be ended. It'll be ended because all the things that they've done illegally will be raised out of that contract. So I just want to say that, and I'll go with one more statement. Stephanie Burke will only be a continuance of McGlynn.
Do you need to speak? So on the motion, all those in favor?
I love it.
The motion is...
We have 2 amendments. Paper. One is an update of all revenue collected from the kiosks in the park application, the park Medford application.
Year to date.
And all tickets that have been abated.
All tickets abated year to date. On that motion, Councilor Longo-Kern.
Thank you. If we could also get an update from the Chief of Police, who works very hard on the Park Medford program, especially as a liaison and answering our questions. If we can get an update from him on the new signage, And our other concerns that he had a list before he left our last meeting that he was here probably about a month ago. So if we can get any updates with regards to any issues we had with the program.
Those outstanding issues that we had presented to the chief. Thank you. And Councilor Knight.
Mr. President, if we can also get a listing of any complaints that were filed relative to the kiosk operation taking money after hours from the Consumer Commission.
And an update on complaints for after-hours money taking to be given to the council from the Medford Consumer Commission. So on that motion as amended, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. On the motion of Councilor Longo-Kern to revert back to the regular order of business, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motions, orders, and resolutions 15-524 are offered by Councilor Penta. Be it resolved that a listing of all new hires and employee promotions since 7/01, that's July 1st, 2013, in both the school department and the city side of the budgets be forwarded to the council by title, job description, when hired, salary, person's name, address. Also, all promotions of employees by name, salary, department since July 1st, 2013 to the date of this 2015-2016 city budget. This information should be forwarded to the council ASAP as the entire city and school department is now under review for consideration. Councilor Penta.
Mr. President, I think it's quite obvious as to what the resolution says, and I think it would be beneficial for us to have that. I believe before, I think it was some 2 years ago, we had asked of the budget director to have names associated next to positions in the budget, and we still don't have it as of now. But last year, I believe that the budget increased, and on the school department side, it increased by almost $2 million, and this year it looks like it's a projection of $1.8 million. The whole budget of the city looks like it's up almost $5 million this year. So if there are new jobs and positions, if there are promotions that have taken place, I think it would be beneficial for the council to understand that rather than being told that, you know, this one got hired, that one got hired. Plus the fact that it's a budgetary issue and a concern, and I just don't understand why all these titles and these positions are just not in the budget by name. This is what the council asked for years ago.
Mr. President? First of all, the names are in our budget. The names of current employees are in our budget. They've been in our budget for years, 4 or 5 years now. That's the first thing.
Talking about the resolutions names. You didn't listen to
No, I'm quite familiar with it. I'm also quite familiar with the attempted assault on a public employee that was what's the word I'm looking for, that a shooting subdued after, and that the Joint Terrorism Task Force actually ended up shooting someone in Boston, in Roslindale, and then they had another situation in Everett. And to blatantly put out this type of information, employees' addresses and things of that nature, I don't think is prudent at this point, Mr. President. We all know it's public record, but even addresses of employees, I believe, may not be public record under the public information law. But with that being said, I can't support this. The names are in the budget, but asking for employees' addresses, I think it stinks of nothing more than just wanting to have them for your own personal database, and there's no value to it. And given the situations we're dealing with currently around the greater Boston area with some serious criminal police matters in neighboring community of Everett and Roslindale, and possibly even within the general immediate area, I don't think I'm comfortable asking for this type of information. Police and fire are already protected. They're not in the ward book. They're not listed. And I just don't feel comfortable doing this to any public employees. If someone has a specific interest, they're more than welcome to come down here and get any applicable data through the Freedom of Information Act. But I'm not supporting this for those reasons.
Point of clarification, Mr. President.
All set, Councilor Camuso?
Yes, I'm all set.
Point of clarification, Councilor Penta. Oop, I'm sorry, I apologize.
In the resolution after person's name, I'd be willing to take out address. I'm okay with that.
So, Mr. Clerk, we are striking from the resolution
the word address.
The word address is attached to any employee. Madam Vice President.
Thank you, President Dela Russa. I'd like to second this paper. I'd also like to possibly add a few things, if you don't mind, Councilor Penta. Be resolved that the listing of all new hires and employees' promotions / lump sum raises, any lump sum increases in salary. I mean, I think what I have an issue with.
For clarification, is that language in there? I didn't see that.
No, I'm asking that be added. It says
So
employee promotions to include lump sum raises or any lump sum increases in salaries.
So as amended by Vice President Longo-Kern, that any lump sum raises or increases in salaries be added to this report. Is that all?
Yeah, I mean, I have like very deep concern about this. I've been getting calls from people with people from the school department. I mean, there's something going on. We obviously need to figure it out. We spoke about this 6 weeks ago, and we didn't get any type of resolve or any type of answers from the school department. I think now we're hearing rumors that more money is needed to fund the school budget, and what I've heard from people who are complaining to me is $20,000 raises to certain people, $6,000 raises, $7,000 raises, and it's not across the board. It's just certain people, certain jobs, partial, certain, even the big job category, it's only half the people that are getting certain raises. So I have concern, and I thank Councilor Penta for bringing this forward. I think this is something we need before we can take a vote on the budget.
Has any of this been substantiated in public forum?
It was in our budget book. I mean, yeah, I have it substantiated. I have some of the data, and I think we need a full accounting of what's going on before we are asked to approve more towards that budget. The teachers don't get supplies. I believe that they went around to the schools and they gave some classrooms one dry erase marker recently. No joke, I got a call about this. One dry erase marker, it went dead in about a week. Teachers are paying for their own supplies, yet we're giving $20,000 raises, $6,000 raises to certain people. It's not right. I don't see it much on the city side. The city side seems to be pretty straightforward, 1%, 2%. But what you're hearing in the school department, and then after this...
Just a point of information. Has there been any actual raises in the same title, or was it promotions to different positions? Because if there's a raise of $6,000 to $20,000, these are more, the people I've talked to in the school department said most of them are putting in for different jobs, getting a promotion. I mean, it's called anti-spiking. It's against the law.
That's what the resolution says.
Yeah, that's what I want to find out myself.
This is what we're going to find out.
Right.
So,
union people are getting the 1%, 2% raises, and then after we speak about it on the council floor 6 weeks ago, I don't know how many more calls you got, but I get even more calls, people saying, yeah, that's going on, and it is. I mean, we need to figure that out. We haven't got anything from the school department letting us know who's gotten raises in the last 2 years, like we asked for six weeks ago.
very good. So you have that amendment. Thank you. Councilor Knight.
Mr. President, thank you very much. I certainly understood the concerns that Councilor Camuso had and where he was coming from in sharing the names and addresses of our public employees here in the city of Medford, especially those in the public safety field, but also those in the school system where we've seen an increase in violence in our schools and an increase in violence against teachers. With that being said, Mr. President, I think a proper negotiation and a proper middle ground would be that we strike person's name, we strike address as well, and we replace that with employee identification number. That way we'll be able to tell if it's the same person or not based upon their employee identification number, which everybody in the city has, Mr. President. So I'd like to move to amend the paper by striking the word name and striking the word address and replacing that with employee identification number.
On the motion of Councilor Knight to strike the word name and to add employee identification number.
No, I have the names of all the school department members, Mr. President.
Councilor Marks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think this is a good resolve. I think what the council is asking, and also Councilor Penta and Councilor Longo, is a listing of the new hires and employee promotions. This paper will be forwarded to the council. There's no reason why the legislative body cannot get a copy of a person's name. I agree with the address. I don't think we need an address, but a person's name and what their title is, and even what their responsibility is, and what the raise or promotion has been over the last couple of years. I don't see a problem with that. I don't see why I can't get an employee's name. We're not talking about adding this to the budget book. We're talking about a separate document that would be sent to the council, and it would be confidential like all the other information we receive in the packet. And it would describe where these raises and where these promotions and who's getting them. I don't see a problem with that.
If I could just add a piece of information, it's all in our budget books right now. It showed, even if you looked at the electrical department, just for instance, today, it showed length of service. It showed step increases to those who got them. It showed job titles, and their weekly salary.
Where's it show length of service in the budget?
Councilor Penta, point of clarification.
Can you explain to the public the length of service that the assistant city engineer has? Can you explain the years of service that they have and what the promotion is? You can't. All we're looking for is the new people that came on, brand new people. And raises and lump sum. 13 is your 14-year budget, and this one is the 15-16. It's the last budget and this budget.
Councilor Marks, did I cut you off? I apologize.
No, I'm just saying I think it's a good idea. I don't see why we can't get employees' names. This is not for distribution. It's not going to go in the local paper. It's coming to an elected body that's inquiring about what's going on. So I don't see a problem with that.
Thank you. Councilor Camuso, did you want to speak on this?
No, just a roll call vote on this.
Okay. Councilor Caraviello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't see why when the superintendent comes up, he can bring this with him. Because he'll be here next week. You know, all that information.
We're working out all those dates still with him.
Right, but we'll say when the school department, I mean, I would like to make this part of his budget when he comes in that night, rather than get individually and make it part of all the further departments coming in doing that, to do that.
So amended by Councilor Caraviello.
Rather than to get a blanket statement, as the new departments come in, because we haven't done that many, let them point out their new hires and their raises and how long.
So that amended by Councilor Caraviello that the superintendent of schools make said presentation at our budget meeting.
And all the other department heads.
And all other department heads who meet with us next. That all set?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilor Camuso.
And the schools has traditionally put retirements in the front of the budget, as well as new hires in the front of the budget. And jobs that have not been filled yet show the word vacant with a salary attached to it, just because it hasn't been filled yet. But to follow up on Councilor Knight's statement regarding teachers and stuff, the more I think of it, I'm a little less apt to support it even more now. In Danvers, we had a young teacher, Colleen Ritzer. Well, excuse me. No, this is all departments. We forward to the city council. This is administrators. This is asking for secretaries and everyone else in the whole system-wide. And we had a situation, and we didn't, but the city of Danvers had a situation where a student was following around a teacher around her place of home and everything else, and we know ultimately what happened there. So I don't feel comfortable with this at all. It's in the budget, the same information that has always been there, and
it's in there. It says school department in the resolution.
It says school department.
Penta, point of clarification.
That doesn't make any, what does that have? There's nothing to do with it. You can say this about somebody here at City Hall. You can say something about somebody working here at City Hall.
Councilor, you're asking for people's addresses.
I know, and I said I'm taking it out. I took out the word address. Why don't you listen?
I did hear you, and guess what? I still don't support it because it's...
Well, you don't have to support it.
And I'm not. You're going to be a real...
You don't have to make a... Forget it.
You're going to be a real good leader.
Easy. Councilor Caraviello, you're all set?
I'm all set, Mr. President.
So on the motion, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Well, actually,
say it again.
3. Strike it. One is strike addresses. One is insert lump sums raises and increase in salaries. And the other one is by Councilor Knight. Sure, strike name and add employee IDs.
Can we separate those, please?
going to, and the superintendent provide
So that's 4.
the information.
Mr. President, I withdraw my amendment.
Councilor Knight withdraws his amendment.
I would just, if I could, through the chair.
Yes, you have the mic. Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilor President Delarusso. If I could further amend this, that we get the answers we want by June 19th, which is Friday, in our Friday packet. That's almost 2 weeks. I have a concern with the fact that the budget was already on the agenda at the beginning of May. It was tabled. So I have a great feeling that we're going to be meeting with the superintendent of schools on Tuesday, the 23rd at 6 p.m., and they're going to want us to vote on the budget at 7 p.m.
That's not a firm date. That's been changed, and it's a TBA on the school department, because I want us to have ample time to have that budget in our hands, time to study it, and ask proper questions. Because we are not, as long as I'm president, accepting a budget and voting it that night.
Great, thank you. I want to go on record that if that did happen, then the school department would not have my vote for the budget.
So we have that all amended. And Ms. Martin, would you like to speak one more time?
Thank you. I know I've talked a lot tonight, but Jean Martin, 10 Cumming Street, and I want to support Ms. Cohen there because I don't need to know anybody's name. I don't need to know anybody's address as a member of the public. Unfortunately, the mayor is the person that's in charge of the school committee, and it can look very biased. I personally don't think that the mayor, this is my personal opinion, should be in charge of the school committee. I think he's supposed to be above everybody, keeping the checks and balances, and he's, whether it's the city side, like, why doesn't he be the chairman of the city council then? You know, I mean, so I think that it looks like it could be that favoritism happens under the covers of night, and it has the appearance of looking funny. Now,
Point of information, Councilor Knight.
I think it's very important to point out that the school department's budget goes through a budget hearing process just like the city's budget does, and the school committee actually puts the budget together and votes on the budget. So there is a check and balance at that level as well. It's not just the mayor says do this and that's what they do. There is a check and balance at that level. There is a legislative policy-making body at that level that does review these type of things. So, you know, that's what the school committee's for, to set school policy and to set the school department's budget. And they've gone through budget hearings. They had extensive budget debates. If I'm not mistaken, I think they met 5 times in the month of May to go over their budget. So just to clarify the situation, the school committee has had an opportunity to review this budget, and the school committee's also had an opportunity to vote on it.
and I'm glad that they do that, but that is at a sub-level compared to the council and their responsibility. But I do agree that that's one step in the process, and I'm glad. Unfortunately, I want to make sure. See, the person checking is on the committee, and it smacks of kind of an, it could be. And I'm not saying that it is. I'm not saying that anybody's, padding their, bed. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying it gives the appearance, and I think that we should. There is nothing wrong with asking those questions. Do I, Jean Martin, need to know the teacher's name and how much? I don't care. But as long as I am confident that other people are making sure that those checks, that check, if I can have confidence in you guys that you're doing that check, then I don't need to know, because I believe in you, And so I just, that has to do with the role of government in general, which, I have to comment on. But I thank you very much. But again, I want to support Ms. Cohen, only because she's asking those questions. And transparency, it doesn't have to be personal. I don't have to know. But I need to know that the government is working transparently. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. So, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. No, because the councilor withdrew it.
So we're voting on the motion?
Your amendment and Councilor Carviello's amendment and Councilor Longo's amendment. Lump sums.
Councilor Carviello.
It's contrary, so that's why
Yours
it's
is contrary to mine. I want this ahead of time. I don't want to wait till.
Ask for during the budget time.
As long as we meet with them before, then they can vote on it.
Fine.
So
are we all right with the way it is? Do we need to do any separations? No?
Yes.
And how?
Because this is separate than the resolution.
Put it in a committee. Let's figure out what we want to do.
Why wouldn't you want to get it ahead of time?
I'm more comfortable to say, when the department head comes in, these are the questions we could ask them that night. there's no need to get it ahead of time.
Well, if you can ask that night, he's not prepared for it, how's he gonna answer that night?
The president will make him prepared.
I'm gonna move on mine first.
Roll call vote.
On the resolution minus the word address. With Councilor Wengol's amendments.
So we're going to separate, is there a motion to separate out Councilor Caraviello's?
You can separate it, man, if you want.
The contrary items, Mr.
Yeah.
President, so I
They
think we'd
need
have
to
to separate Councilor Caviello's amendment as their contrary, so it would have to be severed.
So the Councilor Caraviello's first. On, we ask for a roll call vote.
Yes, that's right.
Do we have a motion to sever? All those in favor?
Yes. Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. So the 2 is severed. So we'll take Councilor Caraviello's amendment, which was
The superintendent and the department
Superintendent and department heads
provide
this information.
at the time of their meeting.
That's correct.
Very good. On that motion, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. President?
Councilor Marks.
If I could, you know, if we're going to do it that way and get it that night, and if they come not prepared with that information, then what recourse do we have as a council? Should we say also within the amendment that we will cancel that particular department head's budget meeting for that night if they don't come prepared?
Yes.
I would support
The
that.
meeting will be called if they don't have proper information supporting documents with
Then
them.
we can't support the budget that night on that particular department.
I don't think that's a wise move.
I would support that, but I wouldn't support just a blanket having them say they're going to come in with something, and then they don't appear, and we still go through the process, because that defeats the purpose of us getting together and deliberating on items. So if you want to amend yours to say...
I'll amend it so that if they're not prepared, then their budget won't get talked about that night. It'll get pushed to another night.
We'll push it to another night.
I mean, we're not talking about a ridiculous amount of people here. If the department head doesn't know the 2 or 3 people that have come on, then yeah.
Very good. So Councilor Caraviello has amended his amendment further. So we're ready for a vote on that. Councilor Penta, on that motion.
Rick, let me ask you a question. We got this book ahead of time and to review it. You're going to be getting it on that night. This resolution is giving you ample time to get it, review it, and so when that night comes, and then you can just...
School committee's meeting tonight to do their budget.
Yeah.
Okay? Again, I mean, Council, we're not talking about hundreds of people here. We're not talking about hundreds of people. We're talking about, how many people are we talking about here? Maybe 20 people throughout the whole school department and the city department? I mean...
Well, this is both, city and school
City
department.
and school, I mean, how many people,
What?
Yeah.
When do you...
There's no reason why the superintendent can't supply that information that night when he comes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the cities are already in the budget as the department heads come forward.
All right.
As the department heads come forward,
Okay.
they'll bring it.
All right.
If they don't have it, then we will pass on their budget for that evening.
If that's what your language reads, I support that.
The language is, the information on the city side, we have it already.
We have it, so,
It's in our
but let's say,
books.
the department head can just bring it to our attention, those few people that are on there. It's not that big of a deal.
So on the motion of Councilor Caraviello, Mr. Clerk, please.
On that motion, on the motion.
Councilor Penta, on that motion.
If I understand that correctly, but can we get that as a separate document? So it's not inclusive in the budget. It's included, but as a separate document. In other words...
Well, this
No. There's no need of a separate, I mean...
motion to table is undebatable.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote to table. Are we tabling this, Councilor Caraviello's separated amendment? No. Motion to table the whole paper.
I haven't done anything yet. Councilor Camuso.
No.
Councilor Caraviello.
No.
Councilor Knight. Yes. Vice President Kern.
No.
Councilor Marks.
No.
Councilor Penta.
No.
President Dela Russo.
No. 5, 2 to table, For 5 in the negative, the motion fails. So before us is Councilor Caviello's motion that the superintendent and department heads come prepared on the night of their meetings to present to the councilors the requested information regarding new hires, raises, etc. And if they are unprepared to have that discussion, their portion of the budget hearing will be closed out and they will have no presentation that night. On that motion, Councilor, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Quick question, Councilor Camuso.
Raises, it's about 99% of the employees get the raises, as Councilor Longo said. The secretary's got a 1%. Is it, so everyone got a raise, basically. We want every single job description of every single employee. I mean, that's the way this reads right now.
Point of clarification.
Point of clarification, Councilor Longo-Kern.
That's why we put the wording lump sum raises. We're not talking about the 1%, the 2%, the teachers. We're not talking about the teachers. We're talking about people that got lump sum, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 plus $1,000 raises. We want to know who those people are. We don't want their addresses. We just want to know who.
Can I ask a question? Where does it say lump sum? Am I missing it?
That was an amendment.
If you paid attention, you would have heard it.
The lump sum amendment was on Councilor Longo-Kern.
I think we're going to get a blank piece of paper back because these are fictitious, these promotions. I mean, they're promotions. They're
Move
not
the
just
question,
raises.
Mr. President.
Motion,
No, we're not here to obstruct
This sounds more like a union issue at the schools.
Councilors,
Nothing to do with the
We're not here
union.
to obstruct the process.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Okay, is this on Council Caviello's amendment?
Yes.
Or the
This is a
paper?
union issue. We're getting involved with union issues now.
Council Caviello's amendment. Council Camuso.
No.
Council Caviello.
Yes.
Council Knight. Vice President Longo-Kern.
Yes.
Council Marks.
Yes.
Council Penta.
Yes.
President Dela Russo.
No. Vote of 4 in the affirmative, 3 in the negative, the motion carries. Now to the main motion of Councilor Penta, as amended by Councilor Penta and Vice President Longo-Kern. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Camuso. Council Caviello.
No.
Council Knight. No. Vice President Longo-Kern.
Yes.
Council Marks.
Yes.
Council Penta.
Yes.
President Del Russo.
No. In the vote of 3 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative, the motion fails. The next item.
Mr. President,
Yes, Councilor Camuso.
we have some people that have been waiting very patiently in the back for Councilor Penta's paper on the
Swimming
rights
hole.
pond.
On the motion of Councilor Camuso to take paper out of order, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. 15-530, no?
529.
529, offered by Councilor Penta. Be it resolved that the matter of Wrights Pond guidelines for this year regarding fees and walk-in passes be discussed and forwarded to the Park Board for resolution. Councilor Penta.
Mr. President, over this past weekend and up until this afternoon, I've received a decent amount of emails as it relates to Wrights Pond, the new change in the rules and the regulations as it relates to what is taking place up there, and that has prompted a flurry of concern from not only senior citizens but bike enthusiasts and from people who now have enjoyed Wrights Pond for so many years but now really question what is going on. The fee has now gone up from $35 to $50 this year, and the 2 passes that normally would be given on an annual basis is not being given, and that includes the separate the walk-in passes. Now you have to pay for those separate. So if somebody shows up on foot or by a bike or by public transit, they're not going to be able to get in because apparently there's going to be a fee structure that's going to stop them from getting in. Again, I think what we're looking at, from my understanding from speaking with folks, this was from the administration handed down from the budget director to the parking board, parking commission, strike that, is it the park board? Is that yeah, the park board, I guess, as it relates to what's going on up there, and it's just not fair. You know, this city gets hit on all kinds of taxes. Forget the kiosks. You get the water, you get the sewer, you've got your real estate tax, you've got your income tax, and you get your meals tax and room occupancy tax. This is just a simple little thing that only is in our community for about 8 to 9 weeks a year, Wright's Pond. Wright's Pond is not supposed to be a moneymaker. Wright's Pond is supposed to be one of these simple little places that we as a community, the people who live in this city, have an opportunity to go. Whether you're a senior citizen, a mom with 2 or 3 kids, you want to spend your family and you go up there for the day. It's a Medford home-based luxury, so to speak, that a lot of other cities and towns don't have. And now to go from 25 to 35, and now you're up to $50 per person or per car, whatever the sticker is going to be. And now they're taking away the walk-in passes, and they're paying separate for those. And if you and I know there's a concern. I think Bruce Kulick, is he still here? He had a concern as a bike enthusiastic because he's as the chairperson of the bike commission. They have major concerns over this because now all these people are going to be charged to go up there and use something. 8 to 9 weeks out of the year. You know, last year they opened by the skin of their teeth. They changed all the play equipment, I believe, up there at that time. And, you know, it's just wrong. The city should not be charging people for every single thing to try to make money on them. There's a few things you got to just pony up and say, hey, it's 8 to 9 weeks out of the year, and sometimes you're not even getting a good day if the weather is bad. So that cuts down the season short. But it's just unfortunate, and I think hopefully there's people here that want to speak on it. But I just think the Park Commission, I think they meet on the 16th. It's a week from this Tuesday. I believe that's what it is. And it's at 6 o'clock at night. And I would hope people just go there and express to them that they're concerned. You know, it's Wright's Pond. It's a little place for moms to bring their kids and maybe dads on the weekend, or grandparents or friends that might want to come. But charging and keep charging and charging, you're going to put people out of business for wanting to go there and enjoy something that we should be able to enjoy. You know, once upon a time, you didn't have to pay for it, and now they want to charge you to keep you out of there, so it doesn't make any sense. So the resolution, Mr. President, I know there's people who want to speak. I'd like to have it forwarded to the, I believe it's the Park Board, the Park Commission, excuse me, that they review the new fee structure that they have for this year and give consideration that the rate increases are just unfair to the citizens of Medford.
Name and address for the record.
Linda Julia, 25 Edward Street. I thank Councilor Penta for bringing this up. As he says, there's been quite a bit of talk about this week. I went to get my park pass for my family, as I do every year. I was quite surprised to discover that the fees had been raised so dramatically, and also to see that the car pass no longer includes a walk-in pass. My family very often drives to the pond because we don't live particularly close, but occasionally we will make a bike trip, or we'll visit a friend who lives nearby, and then we'll walk into the park. Under the new structure, we would have to pay twice as much this year as we have in previous years in order to do that. The car pass has gone from $35 to $50, and walking passes have gone from $5 to $20. It's a 400% increase in walk-in passes, and they're no longer included with cars. I think this is in direct opposition to Medford's goals to be a greener city, to encourage people to bike, to walk, to use their cars less often. I now feel that in order to be environmentally responsible, I must pay a fee for the privilege, and that seems unfair. I do understand that there have been some budget concerns, and certainly it takes money to maintain the pond, to pay the employees there. But I have to believe there's a better way to do this. That's not such a huge increase in one shot. That is a better system that better meets the needs of both individuals and families who would like to use this amazing resource in our town. I don't know what can be done about it. I don't know how this decision was made. I've been corresponding with the recreation coordinators. They tell me that they're as surprised as I am. They don't know how this happened. They don't control the brochures. The people in the recreation department do not know how this happened. So I don't know who does know, but perhaps somebody can get to the bottom of it.
But as a point of clarification, I was told it came from the prior budget director, and that was directed at the end of last year's season to raise the rates for this. Now, Right, wrong, or indifferent, something happened because these rates got raised.
Yes, well, I do understand why rates might need to be raised, but I think the manner in which they were raised and the system of the fees is not really a workable one. Thank you.
We will do our best to find out how those rates came about.
Thank you.
And reduce them.
Councilor Knight.
Mr. President, thank you very much, and I can certainly see the frustration, and I think that a 100% increase in any fee that we have here in the city is far too much. With that being said, Mr. President, I support the resolution to have the Park Board take a look at their fee structure and to make accommodations. You know, a 5% increase, something like that, might seem a little bit more reasonable than a 100% increase at this point in time. I support the resolution that Councilor Penter has put forward in terms of having them take a look and revisiting the fee structure. And, you know, I thank him for bringing the resolution forward. I think that it's problematic to have city government shy people away from using our recreational areas when we have so many problems in our community with drug abuse, with childhood obesity and the like, that we want people to take advantage of these resources, not be deterred, Mr. President. So with that being said, I appreciate your leadership on this, Councilor Penta.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Me again. Debbie Steiner-Hayes, 29 Damon Road, Medford, Mass. So I came for the library, kind of interested in the parking meters, and
We're glad you stay with us all evening.
That's right, and I'm here to close the night with Wrights Pond. So I moved to Medford, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago. Once I found out Medford had Wrights Pond, I have not left, and you're stuck with me. I love Wrights Pond. It is the jewel of Medford, absolutely without a doubt. When I first came here, I think a parking pass was $30 a year to go, absolutely, then it turned to $35, and we're talking about a $400% increase from 5 to 20 for walk-in pass. I understand that it costs money to be at Wrights Pond. There's a couple of issues I just want to make sure that if you're not aware of, that you should be aware of. Number one, Wrights Pond is only open from July 4th weekend, somewhere around there, till Labor Day. Also at Wrights Pond, you can only be there till a half an hour before sunset, so July is awesome. By the time you get to the middle of August, you have to be out of there by 6:15. I know Marie Cassidy used to do concerts at Wrights Pond on Tuesday night. This year she's moved her August concerts to the Condon Shell just because it wasn't fun. They were kicking us out. Like the minute the concert ended, they were kicking people out. Again, was at MFN this morning, 20 new families in there with kids. We are getting tons and tons of new families. It's not fun to be kicked out of Wrights Pond. The kids weren't even swimming and then we were getting kicked out. So this increase is sort of a hard nut to swallow. I can see paying $50 a year. I'm okay with that, but I do think that one should then get thrown in the bus, the walk-in pass, because instead of paying 20, you should say, look, if you want both, we're going to charge you 50. If you want a walk-in pass because you don't have a car, then we're going to give you a walk-in pass for 4 people or 8 people or whatever, however many people you need, and then we'll charge you 50 for that, or maybe even 40, a little bit less, because if someone doesn't have a car, they probably can't afford $50 to come in. We're talking that the pond is only open for about 7 weeks, and out of those 7 weeks, they don't have, this time of year, granted it's raining, but it was, 80 degrees today. We could have gone swimming there after school. The kids could have gone swimming. We definitely can go swimming on the weekends. I get it that we want to hire our high school people, and so they're in school, so you can't have it open during the week, but I don't understand why we can't have it open on the weekends. It is a beautiful, between me and you, sorry, I know I'm on TV, but I snuck in there last week and went swimming. It was gorgeous. It is a beautiful lake. It's swimmable now. And for us not to use it from May till July is just stupid. And yes, they did take out the playground, but you know what? He did put in a new playground. The one that was at McNally then got put there. So there is a playground there, just for clarification. Yeah, there's a nice playground there. It's a beautiful, it's the one that was at McNally. He cleaned it up and he put it back in there all nice and spiffy clean. So I'm sorry for rambling, but it's a beautiful place. We should be able to use it, absolutely. If people want to bike in there, the whole reason why we have to pay for parking is because it's a small parking lot. I get it, but I actually don't understand why you even have to pay for having a bike in there. That to me makes no sense. Anyway. That's my thoughts. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You are correct. That is the real jewel of the community.
It is. Thank you. That's your words.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Michael Ruggiero. I live on 18 Pembroke Street. I wish to talk about sort of the tone of what this budget increase or this fee increase actually says to the community. The reason why we have a park and we make it available is that we want people to enjoy it. We want people to be outside. We want people to bike in. You could charge $5 for our library cards, but we don't. Why? Because it has a positive impact on the community. We have to consider very carefully these kinds of increases. And for this reason, I hope that we can maintain the level that we were at last year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Camuso.
Thank you. I certainly don't like to see any fees raised, as all of us do. I'd like to know, when did the park board actually increase this? And if we could get the minutes of the park board, because they're the statutory authority that actually approved this. Secondly, I'd like to find out when the last increase was, because I'm sure if it was done 3 years ago, if we could also get the minutes from the 3 years ago when it was increased by the park board as well, so we can just take a look at it, also see what it's costing to run it now as well. I know that they were looking a few years ago to possibly put one of the fountains to keep the water running, like Fellsmere Pond, and I'm wondering if that's still in the plans and if this is to offset the cost of some of that. I don't know. So if we could ask the park board when they did it and what the
clerk will put that in the motion.
Thank you.
Councilor Marks.
Thank you, Mr. President. And just to touch upon, I'm adamantly opposed to any increase. I think that could be offset in a number of ways within the budget. But one of the big criticisms I hear from parents in the community is that there's a lack of places to take your children, as Councilor Knight mentioned. Years ago, we used to have a movie theater, a drive-in theater, a bowling alley. We had a lot of different things in the community, and for youngsters and teenagers. And to say that we're going to have an area which is a hidden gem in our community and raise the fees that, you don't know what people's circumstances are. This might price people out from going up to a place that I believe everyone in the community should have access to. And no matter what your financial ability is, everyone should have access to this particular area. There's no reason why we can't use the area that sells water and juice and snacks up there to offset any rate increase. I realize there's an expense to running an area like this, but there's no reason why the city can't get creative. The mayor knows how when he needs to go to Wynn to get $100,000 for a peace garden. He knows quickly how to get that money, Mr. President. But when it comes to offsetting rates for our own residents that use an area in our city, they just raise the rate without any hesitation. So I think this could be done internally, Mr. President. There's no reason to raise the rates, especially as was mentioned, a 400% increase, even though it's only 5 to 20. That's unheard of in this day and age. And the other issue about taking your bike and discouraging people from wanting to take their bike up there, that's a huge issue. The mayor recently came out with his big press release how he's going to be more bike friendly and he's going to have bike stations around the community and he's going to create bike lanes, but now he wants anyone taking a bike up to Wrights Pond charge you extra money. It doesn't make any sense, Mr. President. There's no thought, there's no vision in this community, and it just seems like issues are thrown out there, and really there's no cohesion that puts all this together to make sense. And so I support this. I thank Councilor Penta for bringing this issue up, and I support finding out how these got raised and sending a message back to the administration and the park board that we are not in support of this, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Marks. Councilor Camuso.
Thank you. I'd also like to, if Councilor Penta doesn't mind, ask for an answer too back from the mayor. I know they were looking at a year ago when I proposed it, sprinkler park. And it's that time of year again, and the parents at the Brook School the other day were asking, hey, is that going to come to fruition? They heard about the dog park and this and that, and they're not seeing that get off the ground as quick as some people would like. But the sprinkler park, I know there's a huge, huge portion of our community that would love a sprinkler park. Malden just opened up another one. They had the ribbon cutting a few days ago. So if we could get an update, because I think that that's something that will be incredible in this community, a sprinkler park, and it's something that doesn't cost a fee to use, and just the parents absolutely love them. People actually leave Medford to go to the DCR one over in the Belmont line. That's how popular they are.
Thank you, Councilman.
And I'd hate to be behind Malden on anything.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, sir.
Name is Anthony D'Antonio, 12 Yale Street in Medford. I have an affinity with Wright's Pond because, and I used to go there when I was younger, and there was never a fee to pay to get into Wright's Pond, if I'm not mistaken. And if there was a fee, we always would have gone in over by Eagle Rock to get in there and hop the fence or whatever we had to do. But in 1926, when my family moved out from the North End by way of Italy, we built one of the first houses on Elm Street. As you come up and you take the right to Elm Street, number 7 Elm Street. I have pictures of my grandfather, my uncles, my father, boating, fishing, right up in that area. And it's always a place where my grandfather used to take me when I was a little boy. Now, I am so opposed to these fees. I am opposed to having to pay for this because this should be something like an item in the budget that the maintenance is taken care of. There are also some ideas that you might want to put forward. Fishing tournaments like they have at Horn Pond. You get the state to come in, you get to stock it, you run a couple of tournaments.
The state will not come in and stock the pond.
Why is it that polluted?
No, it's because if the state stocks the pond, that means it becomes open to everybody. So currently it's only for residents. So that's, I did look into that some years ago. They were gonna come in, but when they found out that it wasn't open to all residents, then they don't stock the pond.
Well, yeah, good idea.
I'm sorry, Council Penta.
But the city can stock it
The city
themselves.
can stock the pond.
So we could buy the fish and stock it. There's a
I don't
lot
know
of
how much
fish
fish
people. in
costs,
the
but
city.
I did look into that with the state a couple of years ago, and they would have stocked it, but it's a city resource, not a state resource. Continue,
So,
Mr. D'Antonio.
but in spite of the fact that I don't agree with any of the increases, and I think that residents should have some kind of an ID card maybe at a very minimal cost, I think that the least we should do is offer the membership free to our veterans and to our senior citizens. And is it ADA compliant up there?
Yes, I think it is. I think they have.
Can we get any money to expand that in any way, shape, or form? With the, bathrooms, restrooms and everything to be an ADA
Yes.
certified?
There are, we have that bike to get that cart to get people into the water. And the
I just think
ramps,
it's
we do have that.
it's
That
a
is-
great resource.
It is the best resource in this community.
It is, and it's, like we have the Mystic River running
Same as
through
the
us, but we
library,
haven't taken advantage of anything on that. And,
No reason during the summertime, one night a week or a couple nights a month, do a movie night up there or something like that.
Absolutely.
It can be open till 9 o'clock once or twice a month.
I agree.
Do something up there, barbecue, movies for the kids.
Why not? Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Elise Burrias, 38 Lawson Street. I'll be brief because most of this has been covered, but we live a 5-minute walk from Wright's Pond. My family and I have 2 little kids, and so we'll hop over for 20 minutes after supper, and we make great use of it. And so I'm happy to contribute to having it run. I don't have a problem paying for a pass, but the jump from 5 to 20 just seemed really huge without any explanation. So I guess my biggest request is it would be nice if there could be some transparency, and I think the community would be more open to these sorts of things if we were sort of let in on the process and just told why it was necessary. I had something else, but I lost it. Anyway, thank you very much. Yes.
Councilor Penta.
Did you already buy the pass?
I have not bought the pass this year yet.
So is the pass singular, or do you have to buy one for each person?
Oh, the $5 walk-in pass covers from 1 to 3 people, and so in the past what we would do is my husband and I would each buy one, and then if we had friends along with us, as with young kids, you typically do have a couple of friends, and we know people outside of Medford too.
So prior to this rate increase,
Yes.
if you got your permit last year,
Yes.
you also got 2 walk-in passes.
Oh no, I only bought a walk-in pass. I live a 5-minute walk. I would never
But if you
go
did
through-
last year, you bought the $35 permit, you would get the 2 walk-in passes.
I don't know. I never have bought a
Oh,
driving
okay, you
school.
don't know. Okay.
I only walk.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense. I know the other thing. There have been people who
One
have
person at
said
a time at the rail.
publicly on some of the Medford lists that this will be enough to make them not come to the pond this summer, because if you're a working parent, to go for the 20 minutes or half an hour after work, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So maybe they'll make it a few times, and for $35, maybe they're willing to work it out. But for 50, just the added they're not going to make the
No
effort.
matter how you look at Wrights Pond, because they have to pay for the lifeguards and they have to pay for all the support. To me, it's like a business deal. It's a loss leader, but it's a good loss leader for the community. Because if you're ever going to try to think of make money on that, and then you're going to just keep raising this rate each and every year, and it really doesn't make any sense at all.
No, I understand,
You know,
and
it's
I just
wrong.
wanted to be clear that as a citizen, I am willing to contribute
Right.
back, and we're fortunate in my family that we can do that. But again, the lack of transparency in the community is difficult. So, thank you.
Thank you. Name and address of the record, please.
Debbie Steiner Hayes, 29 Medford Road. So last year, the pass was $35 to drive in and $5 to walk in. So because I don't live 5 minutes away, I would buy one of each. I would buy a drive. Yeah. There was never a free walk-in.
They're 20.
Correct. Correct. But you didn't get them. You had to pay for them. So I would pay $45 and have, you know, a drive-in pass for $35 plus two $5 walk-in passes. I would end up with, you know, 2 passes to walk. I would pay $45 and be able to drive or bike in with my kid. And if-
So to do the same thing this year,
it's going to cost me $70.
$70 more.
No, not more, $70 total.
Oh, 45, yeah, right, 45, yeah. 15 three times.
Almost double, right. The other thing is just FYI, there's Tufts Pool, which has also gone up significantly this year. I just saw it on Facebook while I was waiting. I don't remember the exact numbers, but that's gone up significantly this year. Then I don't really understand why that's up quite so high. And I'm glad to see, thank you all, that McNally Park is going to open this Friday with hot dogs and ice cream, woohoo! But it's been ready for weeks, and it's finally, because there was an opening, it will be open. The other park that is a new park is Magoon, and that still is yet to be opened. I mean, it's a beautiful park. It's 90% done. The kids are drooling to get in there. It's going to be
That's next on our agenda.
Oh, it is. I should say it and talk about that.
You want to stay? You want to stay home a little longer with us?
Are you really going to talk about the parks next?
Yeah. If you want to stay a little longer, you can stay. We'll talk about that next. Thank you, Councilor Knight.
Mr. President, thank you very much. I think that the question that before us is what the prior fee structure was for Wrights Pond, what the current fee structure for Wrights Pond is, and why these changes were made. I think that's the question that we're looking to ask. You know, with that being said, I think that we pretty much know more about the Wrights Pond Pass program now than we've ever known before in the past. I think it's time to get the question answered, Mr. President, so I'd move for approval on the paper.
One last person to the railhead. Name and address of the record, please.
Linda Julian, 25 Edward Street. I will try to be brief. I am quite certain that the car passes included a walking pass last year. I did receive one in the envelope. I did not pay extra. I'm sure we can look that stuff. Just briefly to elaborate on what Elise said, I have also heard many people say, in this case, I can't afford it, I won't do it this year. And just to pull your heartstrings, yesterday my husband and I were discussing this fee increase. Our 5-year-old daughter overheard us, and she started crying in the back seat because she loves that pond, and she thought this meant we couldn't go. And you know, I will find the money, and I will go, because I'm not going to see my little girl cry. But not everybody is in the position to do that. And I don't want to see children crying all over Medford because they don't get to go swimming this year. Thank you.
Thank you. On Councilor Penta's motion. Motion is, be it resolved that the matter of the Wrights Pond guidelines for this year regarding fees and walking passes be discussed and forwarded to the Park Board for resolution. I think we have a couple of add-ons there.
Send it to the Park Board to revisit the fee schedule.
And then there was a motion to reduce it, make it request to reduce the rate. Reduce it down to last year's. I think we've asked the question as to why.
Yeah. Yeah, well, let's get an answer to the question, then we can find out what, yeah. There may be a reason why. Councilor Penta.
The suggestion is, you've heard it from enough people, that the rate is going up. It's gone up significantly. Well, you're going to get all the information that's going to tell you this is the reason why. And it's probably going to say, well, it's costing us money. We know it's costing us money, and we know that the city's not making money on it. But Wrights Pond is not to be made a place to have money. You know, that lady, the last lady who just came up, When she hears a little girl in her car turn around and say that she thinks she may not be able to go to Wrights Pond because it costs too much, you can't explain that to a 7, 8, or a 9-year-old kid. What are they going to say? Your city doesn't want you to go there because you don't have enough money in your pocket? The park board, the park commission should realize, listen, we have 4 or 5 parks all summer long and that you put park supervisors in there. We don't charge a citizen to go into any of those parks to participate in any of those programs. And they're there all day long, and they don't have to worry about a time curfew, okay? So the difference between that and Wrights Pond, there's no difference.
Point of information, Councilor Knight.
Maybe the permit fee at Wrights Pond offsets the recreational councils at our park. We don't know. That's why we're asking the question.
I can't answer that, Councilor.
That's why we're asking the question.
So we'll
That's
ask for
why,
an opinion,
you know, we
and
tell
we'll
them
ask
to
them-
we tell them
we
to
can
reduce
also
the fee
ask-
structure. Then what do they say to us? They say, okay, we'll reduce the fee structure, but there are no more park league instructors. You know, why did the increase happen? Is the question that needs to be answered first and foremost. And I don't support the increase, but I just want to know why it happened and where the money's going.
I think Council Marks hit it right in the head. If the mayor has the wherewithal to go out and get from Cummings $100,000, $150,000, he had the wherewithal to go to Wynn's Casino and get $100,000 for his pet projects. But he's not that concerned about the kids in this community in the summertime, that we have to keep raising the fees to try to maintain them. Well, that is not good government. That's poor government, and that doesn't work for the people. We all know you're not going to make money at Wrights Pond, and you're not going to make money in the summertime. There are some things you're just going to have to lose money on, and you eat it. It's a loss leader in business, but you're making the people come in. Mr. Ruggiero hit it right in the head. You've got to give them something to want to come here for. You just spent almost $275,000 because he found mysteriously this money to put into the library, but he's had it for the last 6 years because he wouldn't take it out of free cash.
Mr. President, we were asking
It's
a question
relevant.
here. We're not
You're
turning this into...
talking about...
Mr. President, we're asking the question. We're all in agreement. We want the question answered. I mean, I think we're belaboring this issue a little bit. Wrights Pond's going to be closed by the time we close this debate on the issue.
We will go for a vote tonight. Councilor Longo-Kern.
Thank you, President Carviello. I would move to reduce it back down to the $5, at least for the walk-ins. No kids should be crying. I mean, what do they expect?
We will add it onto the motion there.
I know. Can I finish?
Or kept the same as was last year.
Can I finish? Yep. I think what they're looking to make is probably another $300 to $500. We have $6.5 million in free cash. You're taking it from Medford taking it from Medford families who want to go to use the pond. I think it's ridiculous. I agree. It should be reduced back to what it was last year.
Thank you. On Councilor Penta's motion, Mr. Clerk, could you read back the amendments to it?
Yes.
Councilor Camuso.
Can we also ask the status if there were, or if they intend to have any increases at Tufts Pool? Because
I think the lady said there were. I think they said there was a Chris Tufts Pool also. If I
I understand, but I'd like to get it from the park board who raises the rates, because once again,
we will add that to the motion.
Because normally they go part and parcel. The lifeguards and the, what do they call them? Not park rangers, attendants, bath attendants.
Park attendants and the park police.
Yeah. No, park rangers.
Park rangers.
Mike Penta just got promoted to lieutenant.
Thank you.
You'll get it on your list. Mike Penta.
Thank you, Councilor Caluso. Mr. Clerk, if you could read back the amendment, please.
They reported to the park board to revisit the fee schedule as the current rate is unfair to the public. Up on Councilor Camuso is that when did the increase in fee take place? The minutes of that particular meeting, and last year, in the last 3 years ago, last increase 3 years ago in the minutes of that meeting. Also, the mayor report back on sprinkler parks. Councilor Kern reduced the recommendation to the park board to reduce the fee by $5 or keep it the same as last year. And this last one is the status of increases at the Tufts Pool.
Thank you. Councilor Camuso.
If I may too, if we can congratulate Michael Penta, who was just promoted in our community to lieutenant of the Medford Park Rangers.
Okay,
Michael Penta's been a very good employee for about 15 years.
We will do that after we vote on this motion, Mr.
But it's
Counselor.
within this department, so Michael
Yes.
Penta deserves congratulations.
Right. Let's vote on this first, and then we'll commend Mr. Penta for his promotion. On. Council Penta.
I believe Council Longo said to revert the walk-in to $5, but to revert the 50 to
We're looking
35.
to
Revert
the
to last year's rates,
last
period.
year's rate, yes.
Period.
Thank you. Councilor Penta, do you want a roll call on this? Roll call vote has been requested.
Clerk, please read back the language of the resolution. Okay. So what Councilor Penta is that the park board before the park board revisit the fee structure as the current rates are unfair. Okay. By Councilor Camuso is it the date of when the increase took place in the minutes of that particular meeting, and on the last increase that happened 3 years ago in the meetings of that meeting, status on sprinkler parks. Congratulate Mike Penta. Status increase on Tufts Pool, increase in price on Tufts Pool, and reduction of up to $5 on the fee, or to be at last year's rate.
Thank you. And to reduce it to last year's rate. To last year's rate.
Yeah.
Okay?
Be at last year's rate.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Point of information, Councilor Knight.
Amendment A says to revisit the rates. Amendment E says to reduce the fees to last year's rate. They're contradictory. We're either telling them to reduce it or we're telling them to revisit it, but we can't tell them to do both.
Reduce it.
Reduce it. Okay?
I will amend my amendment to take up the word revisit to reduce.
Change revisit to reduce.
So you get two the same.
Yes. Yeah, two are the same. All right? Mr. Clerk, if you can please call the roll.
Council Camuso. Yes. Council Cavio.
Yes.
Council Knight. Yes. Vice President Lama Kern. Yes. Council Marks. Yes. Council Penta. President Del Russo. Yes.
7 in the affirmative, none negative, motion passes. While we're still under suspension, 15-528, offered by Councilor Penta. Be it resolved that the matter of neighboring issues of concern around Magoon Park be discussed. Councilor Penta.
There have been some concerns as it relates to Magoon Park. I think we've all received emails from some of the neighboring folks that are down there. I believe the park is ready to go. I don't know what the problem might be, but I believe this has been referred to OCD, Laura Di Lorenzo, because apparently this has come under her bailiwick, and I just can't answer the question as to what the problems might be from the neighbors. They just don't seem to be satisfied, either with the work schedule or some of the concerns that are taking place at the park. So I think to be better informed, maybe Lauren should just explain to us what's going on. So I'd like to refer this.
Madam Vice President, so on the motion of Council Penta that this matter be forwarded to the Department of Community Development for information
right.
And updating from Lauren Di Lorenzo. Madam Vice President.
Thank you, President Del Russo. I'll be brief as well. I received the emails. I think that lighting is an issue. I did speak to Lauren today through email, and she is going to look into the issues. So if she could forward the answers to the whole council, that would be appreciated.
So on the motion as amended by Vice President Longo Kern, Councilor Knight has asked for the floor next.
Would the clerk please read back the resolution as amended? Right now it just says, be it resolved, the matter of neighboring issues of concern around Magoon Park be discussed.
And referred.
What is the question that we're asking?
And referred to the Office of Community Development.
For answers.
What is the question we're asking?
They're neighboring issues. She knows they've been forwarded to her. We don't know what they are. I don't know what they are.
Lighting is one of the main issues.
Lighting is one. Cars being parked on the park.
Councilor Knight is...
I mean, that's my question. We're going to pass a piece of legislation here, but we don't know what the issues are. But what are the issues of neighboring concern? Tell us what they are and address them for us, but we don't know what they are.
She knows what they are.
But we don't. Right?
She just did, so we want to report back.
What if it's something that gets a philosophy
Well, it's an unclear resolution, clearly. Councilor Marks.
Mr. President, I went to Magoon Park last night because I received the same email, and clearly the lights that illuminate the park are on all night. I don't know of any other park that stays on at 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. That's a major concern. The lights are very close to many of the backyards. The woman that contacted me, light illuminates her kitchen at night. And there's some issues that do present, as Councilor Penta mentioned. And one of the issues was the fact that you have a beautiful park now. They do need to cut the grass down there because the grass last night was about knee high. But they have it fenced off, so no one can use the park at all. Even if you wanted to just walk by and look at what's taking place, they did a beautiful job down there with the park, with the play structures and so forth. I'm a little taken back why the basketball court, which is heavily used, wasn't fully done over, the rims and the backboards and so forth. But, maybe that's underway, I'm not sure. But the issue is with the lighting staying on all day, Mr. President. So maybe if we can forward that, Councilor, to Lauren and the Park Board, because they're in control of the lights, to make sure they get shut off in a time fashion that's suitable to all the abutters. We all know that park is surrounded by homes, very close proximity, and we want to make sure that the park is great for the neighborhood, but also works well for the neighbors that abut it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilor Marks. So as amended by Councilor Marks, on that motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Oh, ma'am, I'm sorry. You wanted to speak. Go ahead.
Sure. Debbie Steiner Hayes, 29 Damon Road. So lights on, lights off. We don't really need it at 2 in the afternoon when we want to go play. So whatever the lighting issue is, I get it. But can we just open up the gates and let the kids play? That's the only reason why I'm here. The kids are drooling to get in there. It is so gorgeous. I don't think we need a ribbon cutting ceremony. The kids don't care about ice cream and hot dogs. Just let's open up the gates and let them play. Thank you.
On that motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. While we're under suspension, 15-530, offered by Councilor Camuso, be it resolved that the mayor asks the DOT and DCR to come up with an agreement to allow trucks to travel on Route 16 during the Craddock Bridge construction period. Councilor Camuso.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm assuming at this point this has been talked about between the different agencies. I think this needs to be done, and something in writing has to be disseminated to the state police if they approve it, as well as the Medford police. My concern is if they do not open up Route 16 to the smaller trucks, you're going to have these trucks going down Summer Street to evade the congestion during the traffic. They're going to be going up South Street. They're going to be going through Forest Street, Lawrence. They're going to be going everywhere, but the street that can handle it the most is Route 16. And as we're all aware of, Route 16, you can't have any trucks on the DCR roadways. So during the Craddock Bridge construction, I think it just does make sense to do this to alleviate the neighborhood traffic. The roads are certainly bigger. I know in the past the concern has been some of the trees and things of that nature years ago, but I just think it's going to, if we don't look into this and have something in writing, we're going to just add more confusion to the neighborhoods, and as Mr. D'Antonio said earlier about the parking, just going to keep pushing it back, George Street, then into Boston Ave. So by this simple approach, I think we can help alleviate some of the side street traffic.
Thank you for that, Councilor. Councilor Caraviello.
Thank you, Mr. President.
On that motion.
I disagree with my council member here. Route 16 is a nightmare right now. I live over there. I don't even go down Route 16 anymore to go home. That's how bad it is. To allow trucks to go down Route 16, I mean, right now, they don't bother the small trucks, but the big trucks, they're pulling them over on a regular basis over there in that parking lot. There's nowhere for these trucks to go. I mean, Route 16, I mean, where are they going to get off? Now they're going to be traveling all the way down Alewife. They're advertising, I mean, the signs are on the highway telling them not to get off Route 16. And that you know, like I said, to put a truck, any more trucks on that road when the bridge, like I say, because once that ramp closes, Route 16 is going to be a bigger nightmare than it already is.
Well, like I said, I'd rather see them go down Route 16, Mr. President, than coming through Medford Square. We all know Councilor Marks a few years ago had a very good point. Just the trash trucks can't get through Medford Square. In the morning, they were coming, there'd be a bus and a trash truck. It would be total gridlock. I just think, I understand Councilor Caviello, he's got a very good point, but we're asking for trucks to start going down streets like where you live. That's where they're gonna be removed.
They're not bothering small trucks, but the bigger trucks.
Well, right now, the state police are pulling over any truck that has a box on it.
Yeah, anything with a box, but I say, I'd rather have them go to Medford Square than go down that parkway. Like I say, it's a parkway. Come 2 o'clock, you just can't get on that parkway anymore.
Yeah, no, I understand, but I think it's better off than getting them down the high street and everywhere else. Just
like I say, I'm coming by your house every day when I go home as of now.
Absolutely.
That's why I've been going. That's why I go home every day.
I know.
Very good. Councilor Knight.
Mr. President, thank you very much. And I have to commend Councilor Camuso for thinking out of the box and trying to address some of the traffic problems that are going to pop up with the Craddock Bridge reconstruction. You know, as we discussed last week in our budget debates about the possibility of maybe hiring a transportation planner for the city of Medford and the cost versus the benefits and what that would bring to our community. But I won't belabor that issue. I just think it's very important that this issue, as well as many other issues that are going to come up relative to Craddock Bridge, be discussed. And Council President, I know you've been working very hard with members of the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, as have I, to schedule a meeting for them to come down here before this council. And I believe that this would be a great issue to bring up at the tentative meeting that we have scheduled for the June 30th.
Very good. Very good. So on the motion of Councilor Camuso, a roll call vote has been requested. Councilor Marks.
Have we seen a traffic plan regarding this bridge construction?
We saw conceptual plans in the past. We're now at full construction. Design is all done. So on the 30th of June, the representative of the Department of Transportation will present himself to the City Council. So Tuesday night, June 30th, we've asked them to come down and be ready to present themselves and be able to present to us the concerns about traffic, rerouting, the use of temporary bridges, to address the issue of bus stops, and to talk about the mitigation issues and issues of contact for the local businesses to have a point person to get to when problems arise.
So until I have some feedback from a traffic engineer on what's the best way to reroute this traffic and where trucks should go, the council's welcome to offer a suggestion. I just can't support it tonight until I see an overall master plan on what's going to take place. This is going to be over a 2-year construction process. Well, it may be 4, but it's going to be several years of construction. And I think we have to look at engineers and people that are much smarter in that field than we are and take their advice. And so I can't support this here tonight.
Thank you. So on that motion, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Madam?
Thank you, President Del Russo. Shouldn't we wait until, I think it's great that we're thinking about it beforehand and that it's been brought up by Councilor Camuso, but don't you think we should maybe wait till the 30th where we have representatives come in, we can talk through it, see what if they plan on giving us a traffic impact study and how they plan on rerouting traffic? I don't know what the right answer is myself. I'm not a traffic consultant, but and there has to be a way that we're going to reroute traffic, but let's try to get the answers from the, see what they plan.
Hopefully the trucks will be in Somerville and Malden and not in Medford. Mr. Councilor.
I think Councilor Lungo-Kern has a great idea. I'll send this to that evening. And like I said, this actually presented itself from people on Harvard Street in South Medford that are concerned about the trucks that we gave them some alleviation, and now they're concerned that it's going to be back. And when I thought about that, you start thinking about Spring Street again and Riverside Ave, where the trucks have always been a problem. So I want to thank Councilor Lungo-Kern for offering that. I think it's a great idea, and I'll move this paper to that meeting.
Very good. So on the motion of Councilor Camuso to table this until that meeting.
Well, not to table it on the council agenda, just forward it to that meeting. Forward it to the committee of the whole. Because if
it's a presentation on the floor.
Okay.
So
even better. Yeah. Sounds good, I apologize.
Refer it to the Committee of the Whole for Craddock Bridge discussion. Right. Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes. 15, 5, on the motion of Councilor Penta to go back to the regular order of business. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. 15-525, offered by Councilor Penta. Be it resolved that because of the Council's ongoing requests to have Mass Department of Transportation officials and MBTA officials meet at the City Council meeting to explain the timing, scheduling, and bus route changes that will become effective soon, according to Mass DOT public notices, a letter be sent to the Governor expressing the disappointment and frustration of this situation and seeks such help for having the state agency be accountable for its failure to honor the City Council requests for timely and updated information on this most important project that will present a major impact on our downtown business and traffic flow pattern. Councilor Penta, I'm out of breath.
Good. Mr. President, this morning, midday today, I met with some state agencies, and one of the agencies that was at issue was the Mass Department of Transportation, and one of the concerns as it relates to that was not only from my concern, but other folks' concern as it relates to their response and their response time. Now, you're telling us that we have a meeting scheduled for the 30th of June. About a month ago, a little bit less than a month ago, signage was in Medford Square indicating that they were going to be doing some construction on the bridge. None of the business folks yet, as we speak right now, have been notified. The Chamber has not been notified as it relates to an update as to what's going on. Now, the other day, coming into Saturday and Sunday, took these pictures and just, we can pass them around. As you all know, they dug up the middle of the island. Larry, you want to pass that over there? They dug up the middle of the island. In the middle of the island, they left it with an 8 to 12-inch gully hole in the middle of the street. All weekend long, they didn't put any plates on there. And by putting no plates on there, you can ask folks who are walking across the street. One person almost, because it was dark out at nighttime, almost fell into the hole. But that's not the point. The fact of the matter is there a clerk of the works? Where is the city on this particular, who's monitoring what needs to be done for the issue? Just because you put a cone, that doesn't mean that's going to resolve the subject matter. And if you look at the picture, you can see someone now trying to make a U-turn where the cones are because they felt that's what they were able to do, and that's what they thought it was supposed to be about. This whole thing has a history, and if you speak to OCD, they'll tell you the same thing. This has a history of the city not being involved on a timely, if not any kind of a basis. Never mind the council. And this just doesn't make sense. And I believe just yesterday morning, they hot-topped it, and it's still not level, and they have 9,000 cones over there that don't even light up at nighttime. Sometimes you see those barrels that have the lights that work. They don't even have those. They just have cones that look like if you're a dunce in school and you're a bad guy and you're in trouble, you go sit in the corner and put the cone on your head. You know, this is too much of a serious project. And the more you tell people that this is going to be almost 4 years, they can't believe it. A 121-foot bridge. It's going to take almost 4 years to get itself built. With the state of technology that's out there today, with the state of construction that's out there today, it's mind-boggling. And then the second aspect of this is the MBTA. They've never come back. We've asked to have them come back over here. The possibility of looking at putting the bus stop on Riverside Avenue, go down Riverside Avenue, change the route of River Street, have the bus go there, park there, comes back around the square, and then it goes through without tying up anybody. Maybe no more than 3 to 4 extra minutes out of the normal route that it takes. Think about it. You're talking about the seniors that live at 99 and the folks that live at 121. The way they have it projected now, you're going to have to walk all the way down the ring road. And then from under the ring road, you're going to have to walk underneath the bridge over by 101 Main Street to get the bridge, to get the bus. Where now, if you follow the Riverside to the River Street, all they'd be doing is walking into Medford Square and picking up the bus there. And all you'd be doing is displacing 4 car spaces that you could put where you would be putting the buses. These are all options and these are all possibilities that need to be discussed. And the Medford City Council is the controller of the parking of the bus stops here in the city of Medford, not the MBTA. It's the city of Medford, the Medford City Council. So, Mr. President, what I'm proposing, in concert with Councilor Camuso's resolution, that we look at the, is the MBTA coming to this meeting too? Well, yeah, but is the person from the MBTA going to be here? I think.
Councilor Knight.
As I understand the Transportation Reform Bill that was passed some several years ago, everything is under the same MassDOT umbrella, MBTA, Highway, DCR, all of the parties that are going to be having a stake in the reconstruction of the Craddock Bridge, with the exception of us. And they're coming to see us, so I think that...
But the last time we had this, Adam, the lady from the MBTA had to be, she was invited separately.
When was the last time we had this? Because
Well,
we're saying we never had this meeting
maybe
with the
she was,
Craddock Bridge, now we're saying we need it.
I think maybe about a year and a half ago when she
Had
showed
it, we
up.
haven't.
So I would like to make sure in your invite on the 30th that a representative or the person from the MBTA who would be involved here in the city of Medford regarding bus stops is here, and to, so we could explore once again changing the bus stop instead of 21 Main Street to River Street. Redirecting the traffic, and just all it does is just come around, makes a little
liaison.
Yep.
Legislative liaison for the Department of Transportation will be here, and he's well versed in the issues of exploring the MBTA. He'll have the overall project manager here, as well as other constituencies.
But I think what we need to discuss is not a matter of having a discussion. I think a matter of having them know.
Not a discussion.
No, a matter of a discussion, expressing what our ideas would be, and not to have them come back 6-9 months later and decide to make a decision.
This project is already designed, drawn up, has a battle plan, and they're implementing it.
And without any support or input from this council or the taxpayers of this community. So all these meetings that supposedly were going to take place and be so transparent just never took place. So they're just going ahead and building what they want to build. A 10,000, excuse me, now it's up to 10 million, 10.1. So we've gone from 2.5 to 8.5 to 12.7, now down to 10.7. So we really don't even know what the true cost of this project is, because we've already had 1, 2, 3, we've had 5 separate numbers. So, you know, it's a bridge. It's not a mausoleum. It's not an historical edifice. It's just a plain, simple bridge to make buses, cars, and traffic and trucks drive over. This is not the Longfellow Bridge in Boston, where you're looking at architectural scheme and design. It's 121 feet, Fred.
The place of the Craddock Bridge is longer and more significant in the history of the United States of America than is the Longfellow Bridge.
We're talking about a bridge
It's salt and pepper shakers, and it's graffiti, and it's red line.
Well, that may be in your opinion.
Mr. President, move to join this paper with the previous paper that was discussed.
On the
We
motion,
put it into committee of the whole for Craddock Bridge discussions.
With the MBTA.
with the invitation. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 15-526, offered by Councilor Penta. Be it resolved that a bounty of well wishes be forwarded to the Reverend David Kilpatrick on the celebration of his 50 years as an ordained minister in the Baptist Church. Reverend Kilpatrick, through the years, he has been a wonderful community advocate for those less fortunate and for partnering with many nonprofits in their helping of those less fortunate. Reverend Kilpatrick is the pastor of the West Medford Baptist Church. Councilor Penta.
Mr. President, Reverend Kilpatrick most recently just celebrated his 50 years as a pastor up at Montvale Plaza. He's just personally a wonderful advocate in his religious avocation. He was a former director at the West Medford Community Center, and he's been an extreme supporter, not only for those less fortunate, but for younger individuals. I think it would be appropriate to invite him before the council to receive a citation and to let him know and let him be recognized within his community. 50 years is a long time to serve in a profession, and it's a profession well respected, and he is well respected within the Baptist community. So I move that paper, Mr. President.
On the motion of Councilor Penta, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. We've finished our agenda. Papers in the hand of the clerk. We have one here from Councilor Camuso. Be it resolved that the Medford City Council goes on record in supporting Boston Pride Week. Furthermore, that we go on record in supporting of human rights and equal access to all denominations, including gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, pansexual, and others. Furthermore, that equal access to all remain a priority of the City of Medford. Councilor Camuso.
Thank you, Mr. President. This City Council, the majority of the City Council has been very supportive of the transgender issues here in our community, as well as just opening up in full and equal access across the board. We've made some significant strides in this community over the past few years, and I'd just like to go on record in supporting Boston Pride Week and continuing to have an all-inclusive community for everybody.
Thank you for moving to put an end to bigotry in our community, Councilor Camuso.
Roll call vote.
On the motion of Councilor Camuso?
Yeah? Well, it's Gay and Lesbian Pride Month. Boston happens to be this week. Go ahead. Ask. You want to do it or you want me? Have our own week, Medford Pride Week.
Further resolved that Medford establish its own Pride Week and declare it such on this.
And I think Medford has done a significant job in this particular area. As I said, the majority of the City Council has supported tremendous movement forward. The bathroom issues at the Medford Public Schools that were discussed here, as well as many other things over the years. So we have a proven track record as a council.
On that motion offered by Councilor Camuso, Councilor Knight.
Mr. President, I'd like to say that Medford's no place for hate, and this is a good resolution. One of the best votes that this council's taken this past year was the ordinance that created the Fair Housing Ordinance in the Human Rights Commission. So I think that this falls in line with the actual past practice of this council and the support that this council has shown for anti-discrimination in the community. So I support this resolution wholeheartedly, Mr. President, and I ask my colleagues to join me in doing the same.
Very good. On that motion,
roll call.
Roll call vote has been requested. Mr. Clerk, if you would, please call the roll.
Council Caruso.
Yes.
Council Caraviallo.
Yes.
Council Knight.
Yes.
Vice President Lon Kern.
Yes.
Council Marks.
Yes.
Council Penta.
Yes.
President Del Russo.
Yes, with a vote of 7 in the affirmative, none negative, the motion carries. Congratulations. The records. Councilor Marks. Just if we could.
I believe it was last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, with the airplane noise that myself and Councilor Longo offered. Part of that resolution was to get feedback from the current resident that the mayor appointed that sits on the Massport Advisory Board, our Medford's representative, and we got a response back in the packet saying that that person resigned a year ago. So I think we should ask the administration if someone's going to be appointed to that very important body, and if so, when.
Very good.
Also, Mr. President, just a birthday notice.
Happy birthday, Councilor Marks.
Not for me. A very special person, Dolores Carroll, is celebrating a very special birthday, and I just want to wish her well. She tunes in on the council meetings every Tuesday, and I want to wish her well on her birthday.
Happy birthday, Dolores. And those of us who were present at the memorial ceremonies for the Medford Fire Department got a first-hand experience of the presence of airplanes in our midst. Madam Vice President, did you have anything on that?
I was just going to say on the airplane comment, you did throw out the board member's name and number. I did call. I left a message to see if she'd come to the council. He or she.
It's a woman. Yeah,
it's a woman. She. Yeah. Left a message on the machine. No wonder why I didn't get a call back. So if we could get another name from the mayor's office, I'm sure he knows who was appointed on that board. I think it's very important. I do notice the planes at my house because I live in the Heights, but that next weekend, woken up out of a dead sleep at like midnight at night. I mean, it felt like there was a plane landing on my house. So it's the first time I was woken up at night, but it's getting worse. And I think we need somebody here to answer the questions and figure out what's going on.
And we also mentioned about the Saving Lives Director, Mr. Ben Averbrook, God bless him, that passed away some time back. They have not replaced that position. And that's a very important position. When they had the bike rodeo back here, Mr. Averbrook was in charge of selling helmets to kids that use their bicycle in the city.
When we discuss the executive portion of the budget, we'll have an opportunity to ask Mayor
Mr.
McGlynn
President?
all those questions.
The council, June 20th is the bike rodeo. The Medford Kiwanis is doing it with the Medford Bicycle Commission. Out here in the parking lot, be bikes, there'll be hot dogs for the kids and beverages, and the police will be out here in little helmets, and bring your bike down, get it tuned up. I think 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, I don't have a number, time, but 10 a.m.
Happy rodeo.
Bring the bike down.
Yes.
Bring your bike down, have a hot dog, beverage.
So if you go to the Magoon Park ceremony and go there, you get 2 hot dogs.
2 hot dogs and a vanilla ice cream cone. Do you need?
Mr. President, while we are making announcements of matters that are going on in the community, I think it's important to point out, and I'm sure Councilor Caviello will agree with me, that Friday the 26th at Anthony's in Malden is the Batter Up for Billy fundraiser for the Challenger League, which provides funding, necessary funding for the Challenger League, which is a baseball league for individuals with developmental disabilities, for which gone but not forgotten good friend Billy Falaska was a pioneer for.
Very good. So the records of the June 2nd, 2015 meeting were passed to Councilor Camuso. Councilor Camuso, how did you find those records? Motion for approval by Councilor Camuso. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for adjournment from Councilor Michael Marks. In memory of Governor Salucci. All those in favor? All those opposed?